As a professional driver, there is no question that fuel is your highest cost. Fuel Gauges tracks each fuel up, provides your 30, 60, and 90-day miles per gallon average, also tracks maintenance and modifications. Best of all, it is completely free to use. There is no excuse not to use your miles per gallon and start improving your fuel economy. Download the Fuel Gauges app today and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Let Fuel Gauges help you master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call Tribe Care Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Friday. I have no idea how today's going to go. I think it's going to be a little crazy. I've got an interview at 8:30 my time here in 30 minutes. I've never been so unprepared for an interview in my life. This happened yesterday in the middle of about 100 other things going on, and we decided to do it this morning because there's a little bit of an urgency. There's a Kickstarter campaign going on I want you to know about. So when I get to this interview, I'm going to be horribly unprepared, but I think it should be fun. I did it because it's Friday and we need to have a little fun anyway. So it has not a whole lot to do with trucking, really. It's about a book and an author and an audio book and a narrator, and we'll see what happens in 30 minutes. In the meantime, I have a ton of things I might want to get to today. We'll see how it goes. Joel and Henry are already here, so I'm going to bring those guys in so we can start talking over each other. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Kevin.
I don't know where to start. I have about 30 things I want to talk about today, but I'm horribly unorganized, so it could just get a little crazy today. Before I get started, what's new and exciting in your world today, Henry?
Well, I got up this morning and I'm reading about lawsuits where somebody runs into the back of a trailer and suddenly it's the trailer manufacturer's fault.
That's on my list.
You know, what happened to, where does this end? I mean, it used to be the person who ran something into something was the one responsible.
Well, he can't be responsible in this case. You're talking about because he was blind and drunk and forgot to put a seatbelt on, but the jury wasn't allowed to hear that.
Which wouldn't have, from the picture I saw, wouldn't have helped him, but
yeah.
What would have helped is not to run into the back.
Yeah. That there were two cases, and we've heard the term nuclear verdicts, and this isn't a legal term, but it usually refers to jury verdicts over $10 million. These are being described by a friend of mine who's an attorney in trucking as thermonuclear verdicts. They're hundreds of millions of dollars. It's bad enough, the number. But when you listen to the case, here's what I have two of these cases, by the way, two this week. There was another $160 million verdict against a manufacturer. Here's what happened in both cases, and this is just wrong. I've always said I wish we had a lot less regulation, but we're going to have regulations. I get that. Whatever they are, just tell me what the rules are so I know how to play the game. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game or just ignore them. And that's what's happening here. In both of these cases, the manufacturer was held liable, and they even called it a defective product. Except the problem is the product absolutely met all the standards the federal government has set for those products. How can they be held liable when they meet all the requirements. They didn't cheat anything. This wasn't a defective product. The trailer under ride guard, we have clear rules about that. We've had them forever. This trailer met those rules. I don't know how the trailer manufacturer is brought into this at all, much less charged with a big enough penalty. It could put them out of business. Now, Freightliner got hit with another charge, $160 million. They had a rollover accident. The truck driver, you can't necessarily say he was at fault either. He had a car come across the center line coming at him head on. He tries to avoid the accident, which is, a good thing to try to do. He rolls the truck over and he ends up a quadriplegic. Now, here's what happened in this case. We know what's going to happen when you roll a truck over and you're in an air seat. The top of the truck's going to collapse. The air seat's going to go to its most extended position. And yes, that's going to make the damage and the injury worse. We've been driving these trucks forever. Well, my first truck didn't have an air seat, but we've been driving trucks with air seats for a long time. There is technology, and Freightliner has it, and they offer it as an option that in a rollover accident, the truck would tighten the seatbelt of the driver and pull the seat down to the floor, thereby minimizing some injury in a rollover accident. Great technology, offered as an option. You could have bought it. It's not required anywhere. But they're holding Freightliner, they already held them liable to $160 million because they chose not to make that technology standard. That's not the rules we're supposed to play by. Tell us the rules and we'll play the game. But Kevin, this is insane.
Does that mean 2 weeks ago I fell over on my motorcycle? Does it mean my fault that it's not my fault that they only built it with two wheels and it could fall over?
You should have training wheels. They're available, and that would make it safer. And I guess we should all be, motorcycles should have a big bubble around them with a bunch of airbags too, because it's pretty dangerous if you crash a motorcycle. I know, I've done it twice. It leaves a mark. Do we not understand the world is a dangerous place to live in? We can't make everything 100% safe. We already have inflation going through the roof. If they're required to make all the technology available that would make somebody safer, we'd all be driving $500,000 trucks.
I don't think you could do it for that. What it'd take to be able to take anything that happened in front of you?
Yeah, you're right. $500,000 wouldn't do it. And whatever happened to holding the you know why we don't hold the driver or the individual responsible? There's a really simple answer.
Not enough money.
That's it. They don't have enough money. It's like everything else we talk about anymore. Follow the money. If you hold the driver responsible, what are you going to do? One of the drivers is dead, and I'm sure they have no money. And even, the most wealthy drivers aren't, insured for $200 million or whatever stupid number they want to come up with. Yeah, that one got me a little fired up. Those. Joel, any thoughts? Good morning.
Yeah, well, I just think you two are buzzkills this morning. I just bitching and complaining, and it's Friday, man. Lighten up.
Wait till you see what's going to happen in a half hour. I don't even know what we are going to have fun with that. What else you got, Henry?
Joel, it's a pretty dark day when you come in as the beacon of light.
Well, see, I take the opposing point of view. Whatever Kevin's talking about, I'm going the opposite way with it.
Yeah, so, he does. He does.
One thing I'd like to do here, Kevin, there's so much to talk about on this subject, and we need to kind of set up a roundtable discussion. And, get the Fuel Mileage Friday guys and the Pittsburgh Power guys and everybody involved in this discussion and sit down and talk about gearing for new trucks, because I listened to Tuesday's show, and there's a lot of things that probably need to be talked about and talked through.
Joel,
it's getting extremely confusing, and it would take probably 5 or 6 hours to work through everything.
I knew this was coming today, because I figured you were either listening to Tuesday's show or you would listen to Tuesday's show. I tried my hardest, and at some point I gave up. Trying to find that balance between, on Tuesdays, we're still talking about mechanical engines sometimes. You know, Pittsburgh Power builds more big cams now than anybody. It's not even close. And it's a pretty big part of what they do, and which is pretty shocking, but they do it. So they're still in that world.
Sure.
They're always working on the pre-emission electronic engines. We've talked about those for years. Now, what you guys have brought to this show on Fridays is almost always focused around the newest modern technology, still changing. I mean, each year we're talking about some new things.
Sure.
And it is confusing.
Yep.
And I hesitate to keep interrupting Tuesday to try to correct things, because it just kills the flow of everything.
Oh, I get it. Right. That's exactly right. And I completely understand that. And that's why we kind of need to do something as a sidebar thing, because there's a hell of a bunch to talk through there, and everybody would learn something here, I'm sure.
Right.
And it would be a great add-on type of thing at some point to do that. And it's not something that's going to take 5 minutes to do, because there's some misunderstandings on certain things, and we need to work through all this and bring the opposing points of view and different ideas together, and just kind of kick it around and get to a place where we can say, okay, from this year on up, we need to think about gearing in this manner. And then in the middle years, we kind of think about it this way. And then on the mechanical engines, it's this way, and kind of define this, because it's getting crazy is what it's getting.
It is.
And hell, I mean, you're exactly right. I listened to that show and I was confused, and I know this shit. You know what I mean? And it gets crazy. So I think it would be worth everybody's while to have that type of, maybe a one-day kind of a roundtable discussion about this.
I think we should do that. I like that idea a lot. I'll pick a day and we'll make sure we have plenty of time. And the great thing about my show now is we don't have to limit it to time at all. If we pick the right day, I can we just go as long as we want. And I think it will be a lot of fun. And here's the other thing to remember. This does not have to be contentious, and this is how Bruce and I got started.
Oh, no.
Bruce called my show the very first time because all of his people that listened to my show told Bruce, he's talking about turning horsepower down on trucks to get better fuel mileage. You better call him and straighten him out. And Bruce was gracious about it. And we realized pretty quickly that we agreed on far more things than we disagreed with. And then when we disagreed on things, we both learned something. And this has been the relationship between Bruce and I forever. So it's not a problem at all.
Kevin, isn't that
go ahead.
Isn't that the case with most people, that there's more to agree on than disagree? And you let the small things cause the big divisions?
Yeah, which is, the guest we've got coming up here in about 15 minutes, which hopefully I can make some sense of this for everybody, because it all happens so fast. And it's kind of the same topic. This came about because I read a post on X that this thought process that this person has kind of drives me crazy. And it's one of those things that I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, but we should all probably put on our stainless steel helmets. Tinfoil hats are that's just not going to work these days.
Tinfoil.
Yeah, you need a.
Oh, we got to go to full stainless?
Stainless steel helmets. These tinfoil hat thing, that's just not going to cut it anymore. So
I still remember when Darrell Waltrip did that in his race car and did that chrome covered car and all, and it interfered with their radio. Yeah. We got to be careful.
Well, see, that's the thing. We got to block out those brain waves they're trying to infect us with. I spent a week last week. You guys, it sounds like, may have listened to some of the shows this week. I spent a week last week with a group of about 30 or 40 people that very, very politically active. Some of them have spent time in prison over it, and it was a crazy group. Very intelligent people. This is really not all that out there. I mean, these people have stories, and the stories are true, and they're pretty easy to verify. It was all over the board. Everything from vaccines to censorship to just crazy stuff. So that's what's been on my mind this week. And then I read this post, and this post is part of a bigger pattern. And it's kind of what we're talking about right now, but it's intruding into every part of our life. And here's the pattern. The deep state, the whatever we want to call them, they want to divide us. I absolutely believe that. There are forces, whatever you want to call them, that want to divide us as human beings, and they are doing a hell of a job of it. When you look at many of the issues we're facing today, the things we call problems, they're really designed to divide us. Are they sacrificing cats in Springfield, Ohio? I've seen some video evidence that looks like, it's absolutely happening. Are we now divided? We're now, the media wants to say we're just blaming this on Haitians. Well, that would divide us. We're all human beings, but why did we import 20,000 human beings? I don't care where they came from, what color they are. Why did we think it would be a good idea to import 20,000 human beings with no real resources into a town of only 58,000 people? How does anybody think that could work? That you're not going to crash services? Go ahead, Joe.
I'm not that far from Springfield. How about I drive down there and we'll do some investigative reporting?
That'd be awesome. You should
Seriously.
do that.
I could drive down there this weekend, just cruise around the town, see what the hell's going on.
That'd be awesome.
I'll do that. This weekend, I'm going to jump in. I'll load up the pickup truck, grab the old lady. We'll go cruise Spring. We'll go see what's going on.
There you go.
I hear all this stuff too, and I'm not that far away. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to go check this out. So I'll do that.
Don't take
It's funny you bring that up, because I was trying to read on a bunch of sources about that one way and the other. And I agree with you. They try to use too many things to divide it.
So you could look at the story, and the story's crazy enough that we're going to argue this back and forth. But the real key here is not that they're Haitians. The situation should have never happened. Can you two agree that? Can you imagine running a company that has 58,000 employees, and then all of a sudden you had to hire 20,000 more? It would be pure chaos. You can't grow anything like that.
There's gonna be an issue or two come up.
Right.
I would expect if there are actually 20,000 Haitians there, that the second I roll into Springfield, I'm going to know it.
Yes. And as far as I can see,
Springfield's a pretty vanilla town. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is Heartland, Ohio. So
right.
You bring 20,000 Haitians in there, you're going to know it. So I'm going to drive my ass down there and roll through that town to see if this is bullshit or if it's actually. And I want to know, because I see some of this reporting, and I'm looking around the area that I'm at, and we're not all that far, and there ain't none of this shit happening.
Right.
So
hey, you know what? I don't think you're going to make it there, Joel. The reason I don't think you're going to make it there is if what you referred to as your old lady heard that earlier, and now you said you're taking your ass down there. I'm just saying, you know. I'm not sure you'll be alive till then.
Hey, Joel, if you do make it, please leave Fluffy at home just in case. Just in case we don't want. But here's the thing: I'm reading the news and I'm watching both sides of this argument. Nobody has disputed the fact that there are 20,000 Haitians that were, they claim, legally brought into that town on a government program. We flew them from Haiti, settled them there. Nobody is disputing that. In fact, I'm hearing the opposite, that they're going out and interviewing employers that are saying, hey, wait a minute. We've hired a lot of these Haitians. They're the hardest workers we've ever had. They work far harder than our old employees. They're not saying this is not true, that they're not there. Nobody is saying that. The only thing we're disputing is, are they eating and sacrificing pets or not? So forget the pet issue. Why do we think it's a good idea to overwhelm a small town like that with anybody? Again, human beings. I don't care where they came from. I don't care if you took them out of Texas and dropped them in there. It's just not going to work.
Sure. Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna drive down there and see what's going on.
I'll be eager to hear what you find out, Joel.
So now,
we'll shoot some video and I'll even interview some people.
There you go.
We'll go down there. We'll try and get it on video.
Man on the street interviews. Oh, wait a minute.
There we go.
Wait a minute. That was a sexist comment. I can't say that.
Person on the street, right?
Person, I guess. Human on the street. Can't say man on the street.
Maybe you can get out to zip over there to Aurora while you're at it.
Maybe.
That's right.
Maybe I'll do that.
That's right. Hey, wait a minute. I'm noticing a pattern here. Oh, I think this goes deeper than we think. Why are the principles of Alpha Driver right in the middle of all these controversial areas? What's going on here?
Isn't that a coincidence, right? Yep.
Yeah, what's going on here? There's more to this than we know.
I'm bringing in all these foreign drivers, and we're going to get them their CDL so I can cut rates.
Well, don't let them. No, they're not 100% off because remember I live in Laredo, so.
Hey, wait a minute.
It's the show.
You guys are using me, I think. This is a psyop. I know it. I don't want any part of this.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. It is Friday, obviously. Wow. Before we get to our guest at the bottom, because that's going to get back into this and a little crazy, I don't want to be the total buzzkill today. So I have a couple of positive topics we could talk about real quick. The trucks your brother is willing to raffle. We talked about that a little bit. We're still working on that idea. Are those pushers or tags? They're 6x2s, right?
They're pushers. Yeah, they're liftable pushers. Yep.
Okay, good. Well, would have been better if they were tags, but we can still make it work really easy. You may have to set one of those aside for me.
Okay.
It's not for me, actually. It's for somebody I'm helping buy a vehicle to pull a big fifth wheel. And those are ideal for this.
Oh. Yep.
I was like, why did you want a tag? But now I get it.
Yeah, because I just want to convert it to a 4x2 and a tag would be easier, but we can still make this work.
Yeah. Although I'd still rather have a tag than a 6x4.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so that's one topic, and I'm excited about that whole raffle with those trucks and just making them available. That's fun. Mm-hmm. Did you guys happen to listen to the show yesterday?
I was in meetings yesterday.
Oh, come on. Really? Sheesh.
We're only interested when we can take advantage and use the show as a platform to spread misinformation. That's the only time we're interested.
I see that now.
And to hear ourselves talk.
That now I know. So you should go back and listen to it. I had Eric from Garmin on with me. We've had a great relationship with Garmin for years. We've got a lot of projects going on with them. We designed the driver's watch, and Eric came on yesterday to talk about their latest. They just released a whole bunch of updates to products, all their navigators, their headsets, and we got talking about some things. So their navigator now, their GPS. The technology they have now, because they have so many of these devices in trucks, that when you get off an exit and you're going to a certain address, the system is figuring out the best address or the best direction. Which way do most trucks go when they get off this exit and they're going to this address, right down to the dock level? So it's been gathering that data for forever, and now it can use that data. When you get off the exit, you will see an overlay on your GPS of like a heat map of where the trucks go to get to that dock or that address or whatever it might be. They're also using it for parking. So they're not built, in the old systems or all the systems we have today, they do have databases that show you, oh, here's some truck parking. Well, here is the truck route itself. But those are fixed and programmed in. This is now using real-time data of where other trucks are going to get to an address, where they're parking, because the system says, hey, look, if a truck hasn't moved in 10 hours, it's parking. So this could be a potential truck parking spot. And the difference is this isn't a fixed database that was programmed in. It is a live updating feature. So we were talking about that, and that's all pretty cool.
Dynamic.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool stuff.
Kevin, hold on. I got to go into the store and get some aluminum foil. I mean, you hit me with this stuff here, but I'm gonna put it over my GPS.
So then we're then we're looking at some of the new features. One of them, now they have a wind overlay map. You can now in real time map the wind conditions on where you are. And I started thinking about the effects of wind on fuel economy, and boy, they've got a lot of data inside this device, and it's real time and it's in the truck. And I asked Eric, I always put my guests on the spot. I ask them questions with the audience listening. So I said, hey, why aren't you and I talking about building our fuel gauges app and data into your device and using real-time data with our fuel mileage? And I brought up the pedal coach, kind of that whole idea of, live real feedback, driver coaching. He absolutely loved the idea. He said, and Eric's in charge of like product development. So he's the one that's got to be thinking 2 and 3 years out. What are they doing to upgrade this and make it better? So he loved the idea. So I told him I would talk to you guys and we would get together and talk about that possibility and what kind of things we could do with that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And pedal coach was awesome. I hated to see that go away.
Well, that's what I said. I said it was and the problem is, I know what a tough market this is. We give fuel gauges away, and we spend a fortune programming that, but we give it away because there's just not a big enough market of people who are willing to pay for this stuff. You just have to face the reality, or we're really bad marketers because we couldn't make it work. Pedal Coach struggled. They had a fantastic product, and yet, they couldn't make it. It's a difficult thing to do. And that's where Garmin comes in. The amount of money we would spend on a project like this for Garmin is like a rounding error. But the amount of money that needs to be invested in a company like Pedal Coach and the risk, we see what happens. They didn't make it.
Well, Kevin, when and the other problem is, which was my thought, know Joel, and I know different people, and we're all concerned about efficiency and what we can do there. And I was thinking about that because I was going to be getting on the show when I was walking out to the truck stop from having breakfast, and all the trucks I saw just idling around, some of them with nobody in them. Part of the problem with that market is there's not enough people that care.
That's exactly right. We don't have enough people that care, and we have people who might care but don't understand it, and it's too confusing, and they've been under the impression for years that it doesn't matter what you do. Fuel mileage is fuel mileage. All that other stuff is snake oil. I mean, we deal with this every single day. The three of us have dealt with it for a couple decades now.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing, and then I'm going to bring my guest in because we're at 8:30. I take a lot of heat sometimes for partnering with big corporations. You two understand that, right? You've all heard that.
No, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Really? Shocking.
I'm shocked. I am shocked.
Here's the thing. Big corporations are not inherently evil. I get it. They're big corporations. They make lots of money. Some governments would like to tell us that they're all evil and they're gouging us, and that's just not true. They're big corporations. It's different.
You know what else happens? Sometimes they lose lots of money too.
Yeah, sometimes they go completely out of business. Business is tough. So here's a great example. You have a company like Pedal Coach. Great idea, great execution on from my point of view. I can't see anything they did wrong, and yet they failed. That's the market. It's a tough thing. We need a company like Garmin with that kind of size and that kind of resources to pull something like this off. So why not use that as a resource? And honestly, every project we've had with Garmin, they bring a lot to the table for us.
Nice.
Then that might be an avenue for them to go towards Pedal Coach and what they had.
No, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to get you guys involved. You have a ton of experience in this. You worked a lot more with Pedal Coach than I did, but what I saw, I really liked. Joel, you were probably the one that set this up. I don't remember. We met with Pedal Coach. We wanted to talk about integrating, our fuel mileage tracking into theirs, and we had a great conversation with them. They were great people. They were open to it. It turned out to be too big of a project for both of us. They were struggling to get their technology and company off the ground. It was too risky and too many resources for us at the time. It was a great idea, but just the reality of it would have been too risky for us. Now pulling off a project like this, like I said, for Garmin, this is a rounding error. If it doesn't work, it's not, life-altering for them. So I'm pretty excited about that, because Eric was really open, and we came up with a couple other ideas we could be doing with their products too. So go ahead.
I was going to say, the one thing to be aware of is that all of the OEMs are also now getting into the telematics game, is essentially what you're talking about. And like Volvo's getting ready to roll out some big upgrades on Volvo Connect that are doing almost exactly what you're describing. I'm sure Freightliner, Kenworth, they all have a system that's coming down the pike, that's going to be rolled out, that's going to be very interactive, and so that's just the one thing you'll have to keep in mind when you're thinking about this.
And that makes it more challenging, because I can promise you this, and I think you would agree. If our focus is on fuel mileage the way we approach fuel mileage, which is, we're down to the last tenth, the last detail, looking at this every way possible. We're looking at fuel mileage against rate and profitability. I don't think the OEMs are going to come out with anything nearly as detailed as what we would do on fuel mileage alone. Now, they may have all kinds of cool features in their telematics that we may not even think about. I promise ours will be better, and I think that, but it's still it's an obstacle. Because people are going to look at it and go,
Sure.
well, I already have that in my truck. Why would I spend money on something?
Right. That
Right.
is the problem right there. That's exactly right.
Right.
The first 8-track players, dating myself, were aftermarket.
Almost all the cool stuff started as aftermarket, really. If you think about it, we could go through turbochargers on diesel engines were aftermarket first.
Yeah.
I mean, most really good upgrades, in my opinion. And we've talked about why. Oh, go ahead.
I forgot to tell you something that I was going to tell you at the opening, and I'll fit this in here real quick before you bring your guests on. So, I've been working on this iTorque concept for at least 10 years, where we have multiple gears at highway speed, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
We always bitch and complain that salespeople, they don't understand it, and it's hard to get at the dealership. October 7th, Volvo is going to announce that the iTorque spec will be standard for highway trucks. And they're getting rid of XE and Super Direct. They're not getting rid of it, but every truck built will be iTorque unless it's ordered special.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sure is.
Pretty damn cool.
That sure is. Good to see. All right, so I am about to.
For sure.
I am about to start the most unorganized interview I've ever done. So I'm going to bring in our guest and apologize right off the bat. Should I refer to you as Dane?
Oh, that's just fine.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm going by Dane.
Dane, okay.
My name's Dane Little, and yeah, I'm a voice actor. I'm working on Devin Erickson's Theft of Fire, and we've got a fantastic production going. And I'm not offended at all. That was a very interesting conversation, actually.
Well, Fridays are, my show's always interesting. I'm a little biased, but my show's always interesting. Fridays are really fun because we're all over the board, and we're all tired from the week, and we just get all kinds of crazy stuff. This interview is just going to put me right over the top. So let me try to set up how this even happened, because people might, it's really not that far out of my norm to have you on the show as a narrator of audio books, because I am a huge reader. All my listeners know I average about 2 books a week. I have most of my life, and I prefer to read the physical book, but I also travel a lot. And when I travel, almost every minute of drive time, I've got an audiobook going. So they know I'm big on audiobooks. So having you on as a narrator isn't that far of a stretch. But the way the whole thing came about was just really bizarre. So let me try to set this up here. Yesterday was just a crazy day. I talked about it. I was at a weird conference last week and went to a Tucker Carlson Glenn Beck event, and surrounded by political kind of extremists for a week, and watched some documentaries that have been banned about vaccines. It's just a crazy week. So my head was spinning all week. I've been talking about it, following up on things. Yesterday, I just see this post. And let me go back and try to find, here's the original post, and Devin responded to it. Now, yesterday when I saw this post, I had no idea who Devin was. I'm not even sure why I stopped to read this, but once I did, I was like, I'd really like to meet this Devin guy. Then the funny thing is, the guy who traveled with me to the event last week, Justin, our social media guy, who's fantastic, he was with me last week. Out of the blue, he comments on this post that I'm following. I had no idea he followed Devin. I guess he's a fan of Devin's books. So there was just weird coincidences in all this. And I'm like, why is Justin commenting on this post? And then the next thing I know, Justin is telling Devin's wife, you should get Devin on Kevin's show because he's got a big following with truck drivers. Then all of a sudden,
heck yeah,
you get brought into it as the narrator, and I'm like, I'm getting more and more confused about what's going on here. So I'm going to go back. Here's the original. Here's the original post that set me off, and it goes back to what I opened with this morning about how I'm just going to refer to him as the evil forces of the world right now, whoever that is, the deep state, Satan, I don't know. They want to divide us. And they want to divide us in so many ways, and we're falling for it. So here was the post. And this is from a woman, Diana Gunn. Now, I don't know who Brandon Sanderson is either, but he must be some other author. So it says, I like Brandon
He's another author, yeah.
Sanderson books, but it's disheartening to see him get tens of millions of dollars on his Kickstarters when so many amazing authors I know struggle to get $2,000 on theirs. Then she goes on to say, the money is there. I don't know what that means, where, but it's all being funneled into a handful of already rich white guys. And my head almost exploded.
Well,
first off,
well, you can tell her politics, can't you?
No doubt. And first off, let's go back to the old system of getting your book published. I don't know a lot about it other than I read a lot. The old system, you had to be picked by some publisher, a publishing house. I might even get the terms wrong. Some editor had to read your book, like it, think it could be a commercial success, whether it was a good book or not. It's got to be a commercial success. And we saw very few people get published and sell a lot of books. It was a pretty small club and almost impossible to break into. Now, under the old system, you might say that somehow the system favors rich white guys. I could see that under the old system. Might happen. Isn't it a thing that a lot of female authors use their initials so you don't know they're a female, like J.K. Rowling when she first started writing?
I think C.J. Cherry did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
another really good author, by the way.
Yeah, maybe under the old system there was some of that. It was true. There were a couple, a handful of people who picked winners and losers when it came to authors. We're talking about Kickstarter here. Everybody
this is the most
choose.
Exactly. Kickstarter is the most democratic system you could possibly imagine. Hey, if you like this project, you could throw some money into it, and A, you fund the project and help it happen in the first place, and B, you get the product. So you're just investing and getting a product.
I love Kickstarter. My wife hates Kickstarter because of all the stupid stuff I fund on Kickstarter, just because I like the whole idea of Kickstarter. I think it's awesome.
It's as democratic and capitalistic as you could possibly imagine. You just throw money in and help a project happen, and you get a product. And we are running a Kickstarter, and it's been wildly successful, and we're trying to make it even more successful because we want to make more books. We want to make more audiobooks.
Absolutely. And people obviously like the books. They like the narration. This is for the audiobook, the fundraisers for the audiobook. And I've invested in a lot of Kickstarter. I've read a ton of Kickstarter, plus the other one that I always forget the name. There's another one just like it. I use that one too. Not once have I ever tried to dig into the Kickstarter to see if it's being run by a rich white guy. Not once. I don't care if it's being run by pygmies in the Amazon. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So this envy of, and it's this worldview that we've now created, and it's on purpose, and it is this worldview of life on this planet or in our country or in our industry is a zero-sum game. That if you get more, I have to get less. That's being pushed because that is the ultimate way to divide people. We can divide people by color, race, sexual orientation, religion. We do all those things. This, to me, is the big one. When you divide people by this view that if one person gets more, somebody else has to get less. And I had an economist on a couple weeks ago. We talked about this concept. It is absolutely not the way the world works, our country works, an industry, a job, whatever. We can make a bigger pie. That's the whole point of true capitalism, is we will make a bigger pie. And if you understand
you have
that,
no idea how much.
Go ahead.
You have no idea how much this hits on the core philosophies of the book itself.
That's what I was so excited about.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now you said you're going to read it. Did you get a chance to read the book?
I got started. And I'm pretty good picking up on yesterday got crazy. I'm a pretty fast reader, so I thought if I get it downloaded yesterday, I'll be able to finish it. But then my day went crazy and I got started on it. And I can tell pretty quickly some of the themes. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. The reason I responded to this was this big picture, envy kind of separation we're creating. And you're right. I think I'm going to see it in his books.
Yeah. Oh, God. And it's so much fun, by the way, actually narrating this. So we have a full cast, right? There are 3 main characters, and I am voicing Marcus Warnock, who is the viewpoint character of the thing. And we've got 2 actresses. We've got 2 fantastic actresses who are playing the other 2 main characters. And so we're doing these calls where we're all together and we're all sort of bouncing off of each other, doing these dramatic readings. Now, you say you listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I'm sure you're familiar with the normal way audiobooks are done. It's like somebody sits down, they read the book to you. It's sort of like, it's story time for children, but it's for adults, and it's usually at a kind of a slow pace.
Yeah, let me explain my experience with audiobooks. And first off, to me, if I'm going to listen to an audiobook, the narrator is every bit as important as the author, sometimes even more. And I know that might sound crazy, but I have seen narrators take an amazing book and just destroy it. And I have seen narrators take a so-so run-of-the-mill book and make it totally enjoyable for me to listen to.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I hope I'm adding value to this book. Devin likes my narration, and he's a fantastic author. So I think we're doing something good here.
I'm starting to see that, and I listen to your narration. I really like it as well. And I'll also say this. When I first saw the Kickstarter for doing the audiobook, I'm like, oh, by the way, this is an aside, but I wrote a book. Nothing that's ever going to make it any bestseller list. It was kind of a technical book, business book for the trucking industry. So it's not going to make any bestseller list. But because the industry I'm in, and my listeners, the people who would be interested in this book, drive a truck 11 hours a day, I thought, well, I have to have an audio version. My God, it'd be crazy if I didn't. And I didn't have any money, so I recorded the audiobook myself. I think I did okay. Nobody's complained about it.
Oh, well, and fair enough. I mean, you've got a voice for it.
It's hard. It's a lot of work, and I'm not that good at it. Not in my opinion when I look at really good narrators. But the other thing you guys are doing different, and this is always my favorite, but I understand how much more expensive and difficult and time-consuming it becomes when you have a cast. The one thing that drives me crazy about any narrator, when a narrator tries to do a bunch of different voices in the book. Look, if you've got a good voice for narration, just read it in your voice. I would enjoy that much more than you trying to sound like a woman when you're a man, or trying to sound like you're a man when you're a woman, and trying to create different voices for all the different. It's just distracting to me. But if it's a cast doing it, now I enjoy it. And I realize that is much more complicated and expensive.
Yeah, Kevin, I agree with you on the cast. And I'll tell you who does a great job of that is over at Graphic Audio on them goofy-ass 8-hour stories they do, and they have the cast in there.
Yeah.
And that works really well. I like that too, when they have multiple different narrators involved. It's much more enjoyable to listen to.
Graphic audio, huh? Maybe I should work with those guys.
There you go.
Yeah, graphic audio is pretty awesome. They do a good job with this stuff. They do a lot of sci-fi type stories and stuff like that. They do some other stuff too, but they do the cast and sound effects and all kinds of stuff in their story. So it's pretty cool.
Dane, like I said, I wasn't totally prepared for this. I didn't get to do all the background I normally do. Am I understanding it right that your day job, you're a bus driver in North Dakota while you're launching your career as a narrator?
That is quite right. I'm in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I'm a school bus driver.
Got it. Well, thank you. We need good school bus drivers. That's a crazy job.
Good Lord, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we do. You know what? We just need better people in every occupation in the country. That's another pet peeve of mine. The quality of work and service has gotten just horrible. And it's across the board in every industry I can see. So I want to go back. I also don't know this, but I would assume that you are fairly familiar with Devin and you've spent some time with him.
Oh, quite a bit of time. Yeah, we've chatted quite a bit.
Got it.
Yeah, Devin's a lot of fun to hang out with, actually.
That was kind of my point. So when I read the original post that I just read to you about the, green-eyed, envious woman who thinks that, somehow Kickstarter is funneling money to just rich white male guys, that one kind of set me off. But what really hooked me was Devin's response. And it's long.
Yeah.
And I considered reading the whole thing because it is so good. But it's really long. So I think I'm just going to read a little bit of it and you'll get an idea. And I'm going to have to paraphrase a little bit. Or I'm going to have to warn everybody with small children, get them out of the room.
Okay.
Yeah, I normally try to keep my language fairly clean on this show. I drop some salty words once in a while, but F-bombs are outrageously rare on my show. Other people say them, I don't care, but I just don't say that very often. Devin used it quite a bit in this, but he did it masterfully. Really, it was. The F-bombs almost make it, really. But so here's how it started. I think everybody on this call will appreciate the very first sentence. So this is his response to the woman who says, these rich white male authors are getting all the money on Kickstarter. His response, quote, "So apparently some leftoid pronouns in bio creature is upset that money is being funneled to Brandon Sanderson instead of her and her friends." Leftoid pronouns in bio creature. I thought that was a good one. That tells us a lot. I have no words that can possibly describe. Hey, just kidding. I'm Devin Erickson. Of course I have words. But first, let's dissect her words such as they are. The money is there, she says. Where exactly? She doesn't say, or she doesn't want to say, because the money is precisely where it belongs, in your pocket, because you earned it. You did something useful like fixing a roof or designing an engine, and someone gave you money for it. Money, you see, is a measure of F's given. I'll clean it up. It's much more impactful if I would say the word, but I didn't give everybody enough warning. So money, you see, is a measure of F's given. That sentence made me really stop and think. And I knew there has to be something really profound coming after a sentence like that. You did something someone gave an F about. Instead of doing something you gave an F about in return, they gave you a special token, a sort of IOU redeemable with anyone that makes others give an F about something you want. And you get to spend it on whatever you give an F about. So when Diana Gunn complains that the money is being funneled to some already rich white guys, there's something she's not admitting to. First of all, any writer worth the paper she's printed on will know that is being funneled is the passive voice, which is not only bad writing, it's a dodge. So I love how he got a nice little dig to an author about, poor writing. And that one, that one hits home with me. Now that AI is always looking over my shoulder when I'm writing, I have a horrible habit that I never realized of writing in the passive voice. I never even realized it until AI points it out about 30 times a day for me. You take the direct object of the sentence and shove it in wherever the subject is supposed to be so you can hide the subject. Money is being funneled, except the money isn't doing anything, is it? Someone is funneling the money. Who? You. You're funneling the money because it's your money and you get to decide what to spend it on based on what you give an F about, because money is a measure of F's given. It goes on and on and on, but this is really good stuff. I mean, this hits home with so many things that it's the way I feel, it's the way I think. If we would let the free market work and get the government the hell out of the way and all the special interest and all of this divisiveness, this is why America built the greatest economy in the world, because we were more of a free market capitalistic society. We're still capitalistic.
Absolutely
we're
right.
Mostly free market, but we have become much more of a crony capitalism market than anything else.
Yeah.
And then the non-capitalists want to point at all the problems and say, look at what capitalism caused. No, it's like our example this morning of a trailer manufacturer being fined $462 million because their trailer got ran into by a drunk guy with no seatbelt on. That's not how the system is supposed to work. And the crony capitalism is what's causing the problems. And he did such an amazing job writing this and putting it all together. And like I said, it goes on and on and on, but it was so well written. I thought, I got to know this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Devin's a great guy to know. And I think he'd be delighted to be on this show when he's got time to do it. The problem is that he's got so many commitments and so many shows he's going to. He's doing the whole promotion circuit, and he's trying to get the audiobook done. So,
right. Yeah.
So
and I can
the most
see why.
expedient way to handle this was to have me come here in his stead, at least this time. So here you've got me. You've got a sort of a surrogate or a stand-in Devin, in a couple of different ways, because I'm his narrator too. So you're getting his words through me. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it is. And I can tell pretty quickly that you two are kindred spirits when it comes to these kind of thoughts.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we've run this experiment on a grand scale. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of times at this point, but if you look through history, you can tell right off very easily. A command economy through centralized or even decentralized control, an authoritatively controlled economy is weak. It has weaknesses and it breaks down. And a free economy, it just freaking flies.
Yeah.
And when people are just always, every time,
every single
command
time.
Command economies can occasionally get lucky and pull off some interesting things, but they've never done it consistently. And they do always eventually fail in tragic and catastrophic ways. It's just, if you're any sort of a student of history or a student of economics or a student of humanity, in any meaningful way, you can see all of the big flaws and holes in communism, socialism, and command economies. They do not ever work. And free markets do, almost every time, work just great. So what the heck are we doing? What the heck are we doing? Where are we at?
It seems like it is this concept in so many ways is at the core of the huge political divide we now have in this country.
Right.
We're not at a place where there seems to be any kind of clear compromise. We're at odds.
So, Kevin?
Yeah, go ahead, Joel.
So, having not read this book or being familiar with it, so just the way I see this is that divide is purposely engineered because we are much easier to control divided, and the ruling class, they know that.
Yes.
And they don't really care if we're Democrats or Republicans. They're all up there giggling at us anyway, and they're looking at this going, suckers,
yeah.
And this is how they keep us. They don't want us educated and wealthy because then we're damn hard to control. If you're free, educated, and wealthy, how do you control that population?
That's exactly right.
Well, you can't be controlled. I think the fundamental value difference here. I think the fundamental value difference here is the difference between valuing strong and independent, capable people and valuing order.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
I think.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Liberty is chaotic, right? And there's this weird little germ inside the authoritarian brain that feels that anything that is chaotic, that isn't orderly, is somehow evil.
Yes.
If they can't lock down on it and grip it real hard and make sure it can't go anywhere that they don't want it to go, and if they can't put a thumb on it and really make sure it stays where it's at, then they don't like it. It's awful. It's bad.
They must despise this Friday show because it is total chaos every week.
Oh yeah, no, and I love it. I love it. I love the chaos, man. I'm here for it.
Well, you're adding to it today.
Further, and this is something that I love this discussion because I think about this kind of shit all the time. But when you take this a step further, and some people are really going to probably hate me for saying this, but when you look at the roots of a lot of organized religion, it's about the same thing. So we're not controlling you economically, but we're going to put this fear into you so we can control you in certain ways. And a lot of different, organized religions back before, Jesus, like the Romans, they had 15 different gods and you had to fear this and fear that. And it's
right.
Another way to keep you in control in addition to the corn dole. They were doing it economically. And if you're broke and you didn't give a damn, we're going to do it through, this God's going to come down and punish you if you don't, toe the line. So I think they were doing it kind of from both ends.
Yeah. And I think what made Christianity so successful early on was that it was a rejection of Roman control of spirituality. It was here you can have a personal relationship with God, and you can, and your morals and your spiritual ethics are your own.
Yeah,
you have that's between you and God, and let's set up that relationship.
Yeah, that's a good
point. And that was Christianity. That's actually kind of a beautiful thing, and I think. Maybe Christianity has gotten a little too far from that. And that's maybe one of the reasons why I don't really like going to church myself these days.
And you hear that.
But hey,
I hear what you're saying.
You hear that more and more.
We'll set that aside because I don't want to get into a religious debate necessarily.
Yeah, I don't either. We could.
Dangerous water to be treading. Sure.
We'll tackle anything here, but we can't move on because there's so many more important things to talk about than that. But So
speaking of, I am here to do a job. I do have to promote the book, and so I have to stress to your listeners, Theft of Fire on Kickstarter is a fantastic project. We're making one heck of an audiobook. It's going to make the miles of corn, wheat, and cattle go by real quick. It's a dramatic read. It's different from most audiobooks in that it's going to be very entertaining, and I really, really hope that your listeners have a great time with it. Theft of Fire on Kickstarter. There, okay, I've done my promo job there.
Well, I'm going to help.
I had to get that out of the way.
I'm going to help you out here because Devin's wife Christine has made sure I had everything. Even though I was completely unorganized, she is on top of all the details, and she made sure I had everything I needed. Here's one thing I think she really wants me to make clear, and this needs to be made clear for our audience because they all run to Audible as soon as they hear audiobook. This audiobook is not going to be on Audible. You're going to get this book from Kickstarter.
Right.
So you've got to go to and you should go right now. Aren't we down to hours left in the campaign?
I think we've got less than 20 hours left.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's got to be today, guys.
Yeah, this is the final day, so I think there's less than 20 hours at this point. But you're going to go to Kickstarter directly and search for Theft of Fire. So go to Kickstarter, search Theft of Fire. You're going to get a great deal on the book. Hey, Dane, tell us there's a tie-in in the book and the story to our tribe, right? Isn't this about like moving freight around somewhere?
Well, Marcus Warnock, the main character, he's basically a space trucker.
There we go.
And in fact, partway through the story, there's a major plot point involving Maersk orbital shipping containers.
Oh, I love this.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love this. We had a joke going around in what we refer to as Freight X, the freight community that kind of, hangs out on X and interacts with each other. And there was a joke going around for a while. Somebody was making, and they put up a bunch of memes, making the claim that we should be moving containers around on, see if I can even say this word right, dirigibles. Is that the right way you say that word?
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Zeppelins.
Zeppelins, yeah.
Yep.
Led Zeppelins.
All right.
Yeah. That that was a thing that we were going to dominate the freight market by using Zeppelins and airships, and I thought it was kind of funny. And yet here we are. We now have this book that is actually talking about moving containers around in space.
Well, Kevin, you laugh till a Zeppelin passes you in traffic when you're sitting in a traffic jam.
That's right. That's right.
That's true. And another advantage of Zeppelins, I mean, wind conditions are a little bit of a concern, but they can dock up pretty much anywhere there's a mast.
See, there you
go. And then they can drop their cargo pretty much anywhere they want. You don't even need like a longshore crane. You can just line it up and drop your cargo right where you want it, right?
Hey, Dane, this probably won't mean a lot to you, but Joel and Henry will get this one. I'd be all for it just so I don't have to calculate rolling resistance ever again.
There you go.
Well, yeah, but then there'd be the different shapes of the dirigible or Zeppelin and how it affects the airflow and what is my sweet spot to be moving through the air.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll never get away from that stuff. So, Devin, Dane, what else you got for us? Like I said, I knew we were going to be all over the board on this, but it happened fast, and I was so just blown away by his masterful response. Really, I think that he is a wordsmith. I think he's more than an author. Just from the little bit I've read so far, I would put him in that category of wordsmith, those authors that are just brilliant at the way they use words.
Yeah, Devin really is a wordsmith. He and I are both writers, actually, and he's been hammering on me real hard to finish a book. So you may be hearing from me later from one of my books.
I might have a book recommendation that would help you with your book project.
Really now?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the book, The War of Art?
The War of Art? No, I've never heard this. That's a very compelling title.
Isn't it, though? It's written, obviously, I was going to say it's written by an author. What a stupid statement that would
be. Is that right, Kevin?
What I meant to
An author wrote a
book.
Wow.
What I meant to say is that it's a book about writing written by a person who has written a lot of other books. Does that make more sense?
That makes plenty of sense.
Okay. So Oh, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. I don't know why I do this. I've been talking about him for decades. He wrote the book and screenplay. It must be Friday. Now I forgot the name of the book and the screenplay. And the author. Well, let me look up War of Art, and then I'll find him because it'll be easy. War of Art.
Take off the aluminum foil hat, Kevin, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield. And I believe he also wrote the book Chariots of Fire. Was that it? No, I don't think
Chariots of Fire.
I don't think that was it. He wrote a book about golf, not Chariots of Fire. And then the book became a movie and a screenplay. The Legend of Bagger Vance. I don't know how I got Chariots of Fire out of that. The Legend of Bagger Vance was one of his big ones. So in this book, The War of Art, what he talks about, what the whole book is about, is his struggle as a writer getting started. And his theory in this book, and I use it a lot because I apply it to all other places of life, starting a business, launching a new product, any big undertaking, out of the norm. We're not just showing up and going to work every day. We are creating art, something that doesn't exist. And his premise is the bigger and more impactful that project is, the more you are going to face what he calls the resistance. And the resistance isn't, you can't really put your finger on it, but it's this kind of universal law that the more important the project is you're trying to work on, the more the resistance is going to push back and stop you from completing it. And he really
interesting.
Yeah, and in the book, he specifically walks you through his history of trying to write his first book and getting a break. And the idea was that no matter what's happening in your life, your spouse is going to start fighting with you when you never used to fight. Your kids are going to end up in prison. I mean, he just goes on and on about these life events that will occur that stop most people from creating their art. And it happens to everybody who tries, and most people just give up. And the point of the book is that if this project was that important and it's your art, you have to understand that the resistance is there, know it, and you just have to fight back against it and just keep pushing through. And what he says for a writer is happening. You just have to show up every day and write day after day after day after day. And that's what you're going to have to do. It's just a fascinating book, though. One of my favorites.
Fantastic. Well, I love that. And I've heard that advice before, but I haven't thought of it as hammering down the resistance, like getting through that resistance. That's a good way to conceptualize that. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And like I said, it shows up in just everyday things that we would never look at that and go, oh, somebody's trying to stop me from creating my art. But that's how he looks at all of these things. And he
well, there is some of that.
The
reason that Devin,
go ahead.
The reason that Devin is going independent with his audiobook, right? The reason why he's independently published, not going through traditional publications, right? The reason why he's not going on Audible, the reason why all of these things is because he's looked deeply into the market and how to publish and how to make it as an author. And he's realized he had to come up with his own solutions.
Right.
Because, the ladder to becoming an artist, really making something new and fresh, just isn't there. Correct. It's been yanked up, or nobody ever built the damn ladder. So, you're looking at, you publish an Audible and they give you a terrible, terrible, terrible deal.
Right.
On their, with secret terms that you're not allowed to know about, what your book is actually selling for on Audible. So it's a terrible deal for authors. And then, Trad Pub wants to criticize and dictate the terms of how you write your book.
Yeah.
Without necessarily knowing anything about how to actually put out a decent book. Like Trad Pub might have done a good job in the past, but they're not doing it now.
Which everything you just said goes back to why the original post, made me crazy.
Yes.
It was so ironic for her to write it that way when she couldn't be more wrong about her conclusions to this. It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
She should be screaming at all the publishing houses that have picked the winners and losers forever. And that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
They can't do that anymore. This is why people in our world with certain thought processes hate the internet. Because the internet has made all of this new economy possible. And if you look, where are they trying to shut down free speech? On the internet. They're
on the internet.
They're terrified of it.
Well, the internet has done some terrible things to us, right?
Of course.
It's atomized us.
Yeah.
It's sent us into this. It's turned our entire culture into this fine mist of little bubbles of culture where we're all little echo chambers in all our different little Discord servers and email groups, and we're just all over the place, and we're not allowed to condense and coalesce on anything unless it's something stupid like Marvel movies and Taylor Swift.
But it makes us
gotta love it.
I know. What you just described, if we use it properly, makes us ungovernable, and they hate that.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what they hate.
But you try to coalesce around an idea or a figure, and then they immediately attack that, and they try to undercut it.
Yes.
Right? Because anything that rallies people around an idea of personal self-sufficiency and independence is a massive, massive threat to, the regime.
Yeah.
You know the best example
the heartening
of this?
thing. The thing that should fill us all with some hope is the fact that if there were no hope, the censorship and the propaganda would not be necessary.
Right.
It's very
100%.
necessary.
100%. Yes.
That is a good point.
That's awesome.
It's very necessary because the independent human spirit is a force to be reckoned with. And it is a massive, massive threat to the regime, the message, the narrative, the cult.
Yeah. What I think is one of the best examples of this is Elon Musk. He was the hero of the left progressive movement. He built electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that electric cars are going to save the world. Everybody knows that. So he was their hero until he wasn't. Until he actually started talking about free speech, something they hate. Now he is the villain and everybody is going after him. Talk about the resistance. That's a great example.
There you go.
Think about how big the project he took on. $44 billion big to try to save free speech. That's a pretty big deal. And look what happens.
Yep.
He's got some major forces working against him.
And now Twitter is the fastest growing social media site.
Isn't that awesome?
Facebook is taking a nosedive, and Twitter is on the way up.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine why when the CEO of Facebook comes out and blatantly tells us, yes, the government forced me to censor this. And why aren't people being prosecuted?
Well,
isn't that awesome? You gotta love that, right?
I mean, he told us they committed a crime.
Well, because there's so much. Yeah. Well, when all the institutional power is invested in people who all agree with each other, then they're not going to. They're going to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. That's how that works.
Self-innocent, right? That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly. They're innocent of all crimes, so long as. Yeah.
Let's have a congressional investigation where they investigate themselves and imagine that there's no crimes committed, right? That's how that works.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's why the protests in 2020 were fiery but mostly peaceful.
Of course.
And that's why there's no election fraud, but it is totally racist to ask for voter ID, and and all of those things.
Hey, Dane, just so you know, the group I spent time with last week, I met two women who spent time in federal prison over January 6th, and I met 3 people who were on the disinformation dozen. That was the that was and 30 more people that were very similar with lots of the same credentials. Andy Wakefield, who makes incredible documentaries about vaccines. You can imagine he's now public enemy number 1. Just really, really passionate people about the things we're talking about here. Very creative people who are just tired of being censored.
Well, yes. And I can tell you immediately, they're probably pretty great people.
They were fantastic.
We are in an age, in an era where you can generally tell the quality of a person by the enemies he makes.
Well, let me tell you something about myself. I was canceled off Sirius XM after a 15-year contract because I made a comment about a sitting U.S. congressman and he didn't like it. And he called the CEO at Sirius my show was canceled when I got off the air that day.
Oh my.
Yep.
Well, I'm very terrible.
Just so everybody knows.
I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news. Don't be. I am so much happier doing this on my own than I ever was the 15 years I was doing it for Sirius XM. I don't make nearly as much money now that I don't have that big audience, but I'm much happier. I love being able to do a show like this one. I can say whatever the hell I want now, and I do. And I when we lost the contract, we have a programming team because we have some software products. And I told the programming team, I said, drop everything you're doing. And I want you to build me an app that people can listen to me and a broadcast platform that I can use. And if they want to shut me up next time, they're going to have to turn off the internet.
There we go. There we go. Well, we're seeing that all over the place.
And if they do that,
we're finding that
I might just stand in truck stop parking lots with a bullhorn to get my message out if I have to. I'm glad you're not reduced to being the Buc-ee's crier, but Buc-ee's doesn't allow trucks.
No,
Buc-ee's hates truck drivers.
Oh, really?
Communist.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know.
There's no Buc-ee's around here. I'm up in, like I said, I'm up in North Dakota.
I honestly,
so we've got.
I've only been to one Buc-ee's and I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand the phenomenon at all.
You too, Kevin?
I just don't get it.
What I know, Kevin, is I don't care that they don't want us in there with a truck because the amount of cars that flock into there, like, I don't want to be in there with that many cars.
No, actually, we should probably applaud them for how many cars they pull off the road and get the hell out of our way.
Exactly. I can't get it. I mean, they're at Lulling, the largest one. It's backed up on the interstate to get in there. It's crazy.
That'll be another show. Dane, final words. And you know, I think maybe it would be fun to get you and Devin back for a show together when he has some time. I know he's busy, but at some point it'd be fun to get you guys together.
Oh, that'd be a hell of a time.
Yeah.
I would absolutely go for that. Talk to Christine. She'll schedule it.
Oh, I am pretty convinced now that if Christine wants something done, it's going to happen.
All right. Well, there we go.
So
my final word of the project is this. The story of this project, of the book, the audiobook, and the creation of all this mirrors the story of the book, of people faced with a world with few options, finding their own way in it. I'm a bus driver in North Dakota. I've always wanted to be a voice actor. This is my big break. This is me starting a whole new career, and I'm loving it. And the more people listen to this, the better for me, and the happier I'll be. and I'm just honored to be doing this just really cool project with not only an amazing author, but with two other incredible voice actresses, Emma Ray and Ashley Crossman, who are also putting in incredible work on this very dramatic read of an incredible book. I think we're making something really special, and I really want people to enjoy it.
And we're going to tell them again how to do it. But I have another idea. I'm just full of brilliant ideas today.
Yeah.
So I've been struggling with something for about a year now. I do 5 shows a week, Monday through Friday, up to 3 hours a day, no commercials. We never take breaks. But then I also have been struggling over the last year since Elon took over X. I ignored Twitter from the very beginning. Tried it way back when it first came out. Thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen, and ignored it from then on. And then when Elon decided to buy it, I thought maybe I'll go take a look again. And it is now the only social media site that I am personally active on. You will see my videos, my shows, my recordings on just about every social media site there is. That's what Justin does for us. He posts them everywhere. We make it clear that's not me posting on those other sites. If you want to interact with me on social media, it's X. And the reason it's X is because I get heavily censored and deleted on every other platform. YouTube has canceled my account. They're about to cancel my account again. And when they cancel it this time, I won't even bother to go back. I'll use Rumble instead. So I am active on X. So I've been trying to come up with a theme for a weekly X space. Just one more thing, a new audience. It's a whole different dynamic when you do a space than this kind of a show. My original thought was I wanted to create a debate platform where we all actually learned how to debate, not just argue with each other. And I came up with a set of rules, and you're laughing. You're right. It failed miserably. I thought I had it figured out. I had all these rules that, that I thought would make the debate more productive, and we would actually learn from each other. And I love talking to people who have different ideas than I do. I don't want to be in an echo chamber every day. So I thought it was a brilliant idea. It flamed out miserably. So I thought, all right, instead of that, I'm just going to do something I like doing. I'm going to make it a book club. So we started a couple weeks ago, and I've been traveling a lot, so I've missed several weeks. But I don't think anything's happening this coming Monday. So I've got a book already picked for the next one. But I'm going to put this book on my list for a book club. And if we can make the schedule work, I'd love to get you and Devin on that space with me.
Oh, that'd rock.
Wouldn't that
I would
be
love
fun?
to do that. I don't know about Devin's schedule, but yeah, no, I would. I'm super cool. That's an amazing idea.
And here's the beauty of a space. Even though I am probably going to make it a regular Monday afternoon thing, for this would be a special episode. So if either one of you say the only time I can do that is 2 a.m. on this coming Thursday morning, then we'll just make that happen. We'll just do it whenever.
Well, yeah. Let's see. This is a morning show. How are you with evenings generally?
Normally I wouldn't, but for, when I have something I'm excited about and that could be fun and different, like I said, I'll make this work whatever time works for you two.
All right. Well, good. Yeah. Get with Christine, and we will work it out.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
That sounds like fun. Now, I want to make sure, listen up. And, I promote a lot of stuff on my show. I mean, people actually tune in because they want my advice on, what kind of tire should I buy for my truck, or what product should I use here? So I make a lot of recommendations. Normally, I just throw out the information and say, look, here's something I like. If you go check it out, if it interests you, buy it, whatever. And a lot of times I don't even get paid for that stuff. And when I do, I tell people I'm being paid for that. I'm clearly not being paid anything to promote this, but I'm going to specifically ask people, go support this. This is important in so many ways. It's hard for me even to kind of really sum it up the way I wanted to, because I haven't had time to think about it. But just the whole where we are politically, the book is fantastic. It's got that tie into freight. That's kind of fun. You as the narrator building this new career, I love helping people launch like that. You've got some ties to being a driver every day and out on the road. And I'm a big believer in audiobooks. I've pushed them forever. So I'm going to specifically ask people, go support this. Go to Kickstarter and Dane, maybe you can help us. I haven't even had time yet to go to Kickstarter and look at the campaign. Are there several options on how you can support this?
Oh, there are. There's various tiers. I think at the lowest, you just get the Kindle book, which is just a digital download. Go right on your phone, and any one of the book reader apps will use it. And you can get the audiobook. The audiobook also can come to you as a file. We just hit a stretch goal, by the way, where we're going to be putting out these little USB thumb cards with book art printed on it and all of that. And it'll be this fun way you can have this little card that has the audiobook on it. You can just slot that right into your computer and listen to it, or stick it on your phone, or however you want to do it. So, yeah, you scroll down on the Kickstarter campaign, you'll see a lot of different tiers, a lot of different ways to support the campaign. Obviously, every little bit of support helps. It's going to get more of this audiobook out to more people, and they might even pay me better. We'll see.
Good.
They're already paying me pretty good for this audiobook.
Good. We want to get you a bonus. So I'm asking my tribe, go support this. Go to Kickstarter. Kickstarter.com, search for Theft of Fire, choose your support level. You've got several options there, but here's what I want. I want it, like I said, we got less than 20 hours left in this, but I want Christine to come back to me and say, holy cow, did we see the bump? And we're going to have to push because this is popular already, but I want there to be a noticeable spike today because of this show. And then we're going to do this as the book club, and we're not going to do it until we can get you and Devin scheduled in so we can all do it together. That'll be fun.
Well, I tip my hat to you, sir, because you're making my promotional job here very easy. I really appreciate that.
Good. You made my Friday show easy, even though I thought I might totally blow this because I was bringing in a guest and I could barely remember your name.
Well, I'm glad to be here. This has been a lot of fun. I should do more of these. Maybe I should.
There you go. Uh-oh, hold on. I hit your mute button as you were talking. You were just saying I should do, and then I hit your mute button.
Oh yeah, maybe I should do more podcasts.
There you go.
I'll ping Super Trucker and see if they want me on. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
because this is just fun. This is a nice conversation.
Yeah, Super Trucker, by the way, is Justin. That's who traveled with me last week. He does our social media stuff, all of our video. Dooner, Justin used to work at a company called Freight Waves, and they have a lot of media. And Dooner does a show over there, which is excellent. Dooner's a great guy. So if you haven't been on with them, you should reach out and get on with them. You'd love it.
Okay. All right. I think Devin has been on there.
Yeah, I think so too. I did think I saw that in all the chaos yesterday. So, well, then I'm going to have to one up those guys. If they've already had Devin, I'm going to get the two of you on together.
Oh, there we go. We go. Yeah, we gotta. All right.
Got to get a
all
little
right. I see the plan here.
going.
We're gonna make this a little bit of a competition.
That's right.
I'm all about it.
All right, Dane. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it immensely. I'm looking forward to more.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. Well, there's more coming. We got more books coming, and I'll be narrating those too.
Excellent. All right. Look forward to talking to you soon, having you back on the show. Take care. All right. What do you say? That was a little crazy, wasn't it?
Interesting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Weird how the whole thing happened.
Sure.
It was just That's been happening to me a lot lately. Just really weird, coincidences, meeting somebody that probably wouldn't have happened, and good things coming out of it. So I don't know. I think I'm putting out good energy, and it's coming back to me. That's my story, anyway. What do you say we get to some phone calls?
Not a bad story to be on. Good.
Yeah. Let's. We've had some people on hold for the entire time we've been on the show. They've just been sitting there waiting and waiting. Matt, thanks for being patient.
Yeah, good morning or afternoon for some of us.
Yeah.
I got a lot to talk about now.
I'll bet.
Just something interesting that ties in with all that. I listened to Mike Rowe's podcast. I think is very interesting. He had a guest this past week, his third time on there, Vinny Torrentino, I believe is how you say his last name. He's a fitness guy and diet guy.
I don't.
He wrote the book Fitness Confidential.
Could it be like Tortoric?
Yep, something like that. I can't remember exactly how
I know who you're talking about, and he's got when you look at his last name, it's kind of hard to pronounce. I know who you're talking about, though. I've been following him probably as long as I've been doing the health stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and he's same as you. He's been canceled on a lot of stuff. He's been removed from Wikipedia because he's from a little small town in Louisiana and was the most famous person from that small town, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
Doesn't exist.
That's right. You're not allowed to be famous anymore if you're saying things somebody doesn't like.
Yep. His book was in because of, he's the carnivore type, the low carb. It pushes back against what a lot of doctors say.
Yep.
So the editors wanted nothing to do. You got to change this. You got to change that. And nope, I'm not changing it. So he self-published.
Yep.
Then he went to do his audio book, and it's very interesting because I mostly listen to audiobooks. In his audio book, he goes off script a lot, tells little side stories and all that, and he keeps saying, but I digress, and then gets back to the book. So in this just recent interview, in the book, that's from years ago. The book's been out for several years. In the interview, he was talking to Mike Rowe about that. When he sat down and hired, an editing company to do the recording for the audiobook, the first time the guy let it go, the second time he interrupted him. But we got to redo this. You have to stick to the book. Well, why?
Right.
Well,
why?
Because the publishers, this and that, they won't let you. Well, I'm the publisher.
That's right.
And he goes, So the editor is like, well, hang on. He made a phone call and for several minutes, and finally came back and says, okay, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because he's self-published, so
right. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's. Some days I just don't even know what to say, and I just got to get away from it all because it not only is it all just things I never thought I would see happening in this country, but the deeper you look, the more it seems like that it's not random. That there's a theme and a point to all of this, and it's not good.
Yep. So earlier when you were talking about the Freightliner incident with the driver got crushed, you figured out why everybody in a Peterbilt rides with the seat on the floor now. It's a safety issue.
Somebody needs to make a meme. Yeah, somebody that
actually that wasn't a Freightliner, but close. It was a Western Star.
Same thing. Oh, okay. Come on, it's the same thing.
Hey, yeah, but they're more apt to put their seat on the floor, though, Kevin.
Well, this guy.
But that's also why they have the tall shifters, because it acts as an instant roll cage when you roll over if that shifter lands.
Boy, we had
you go.
We had no idea these Peterbilt drivers were so intelligent.
Yeah.
You know what? The seat still extends when you roll it over.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah, I never had a tall shifter, but I used to sit on the floor years ago. My knees and hips can't handle it anymore. But
if I did that with my seat, I'd have to cut a hole in the firewall to be able to see where I was going.
Yep.
Kevin, you don't have to. You can leave the seat up and you still have the effect because they only see it from the shoulder, right?
That's true.
You know what's funny, Kevin? Every once in a while, I put my seat all the way down like that so I can use the sun visors.
You're right. Yeah. Well, now
because that's the part.
See, now everybody
it's pretty cool to look through the windshield where everybody else does.
Now everybody knows why my second truck was a GMC Astro, because it made me look taller. When you drive a GMC Astro, everybody can see your knees.
Yep. One more joke before we get serious. Joel, when you guys were talking about you going down to Springfield this weekend, and Kevin first said, you can be the man on the street reporting, and you guys realize, well, that's not politically correct these days. And you said person, but definitely don't be a Furby and don't identify as a cat.
That I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'll make sure not to.
That's right. I have a feeling that is.
It's nice knowing you, Joel.
I'll end up in a pot of Haitian stew, right?
Oh my gosh, this ain't going nowhere good.
Yeah, or they'll just skin you for a sacrifice. We're not really sure if they're eating them or if they're sacrificing them or both.
Waste not, want not.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been trying. Yesterday, I was going to talk about this, Kevin, the Wabash trailer ordeal.
Yeah.
And he ran out of time, but then you started talking about Kevin Beckett with it after I hung up. I figured it'd be a good topic for today's show.
Well, just
I knew
so
you guys would have a.
Just so you know, I knew you were there, and I should have said something, but I was waiting for Kevin to come in, and I was going to bring you in, and the three of us were going to talk about it. And then I looked up, and you had dropped off because you figured it was the end of the show.
Yep. But so, yeah, this one just pisses me off because I don't know where I read the article. The most recent one was FreightWaves. I thought the first time, so the accident happened in 2019 in St. Louis. And I thought I read it was a construction zone and slowing traffic. So the semi-truck wasn't doing anything wrong, wasn't parked on the shoulder. And it just, the car didn't slow down when traffic slowed down. But Jerry, now I don't see that in the FreightWaves article.
I just looked at my chat, and Jerry, who is usually really accurate about stuff, that's exactly what he said. He said the truck was actually driving in slow traffic due to construction. 2 people in the car, both fatally injured.
Yep. And yeah, 23 and 24 years old, which not that really has any bearing on it. I mean, age shouldn't matter unless they're like a fresh driver's license, but I think both of them were under the influence, which obviously the passenger doesn't matter, but the driver, and that they don't allow that in court. That pisses me off. I thought, how can a jury make a decision when they're not allowed to hear the facts?
I thought
well, to me on
Go ahead.
To me on that, even if the truck was broke down on the road, you ran into something ahead of you.
Yep.
Well, all
we
need.
Don't run into things.
I know
pretty simple.
I know this is oversimplified, but in my opinion, this is all that should matter. He was legally drunk. I don't know that I need to know any other factor. He was legally drunk. Why isn't that the single most important issue here?
Yep.
This to me is no different.
Yeah, it wasn't just under the influence. It was the blood alcohol was above legal limits.
Correct. Right.
Okay, so Kevin, what you're saying, it was the alcoholic beverage manufacturer's fault.
No,
Probably.
no, it was the federal government's rules that allowed him to buy that alcohol. I think it's their fault.
Okay, so then that was the voters' fault for voting for the people who put that law into effect.
This is why this is a slippery slope we should not be going down. Hold the people most responsible for the problem, not everybody else. But it's not about responsibility. It's not about justice or fairness. It's about money. That's all this is.
It's about deeper pockets.
It's just
where can you find the deepest pocket?
And you know you know what we shouldn't forget here? We should not forget that of this $462 million settlement, the attorneys are probably going to get 30% of that.
Oh, it's worse than that. The families, so the big settlement is $450 million. The other $12 million is $6 million to each of the families.
Unbelievable. You know, it has become so outrageous. And, you know, I think many of you will remember a couple of years ago when I went down to Memphis and Nashville and spent a week with all the insurance people and talked about the fact that this is so out of control. There are training programs, there are conferences and events designed to teach attorneys how to go after the trucking industry with nuclear verdicts. It is a big business.
Well,
not only that, it gets worse.
Well, worse than that.
Yeah,
you can invest in the trial.
That's where I was going.
There's hedge funds, yep.
That there are now hedge funds that don't invest in stocks or bonds or mutual funds or gold or silver. The hedge funds invest in nuclear verdicts. You give them your money. They use the money to hire and train attorneys to go after trucks for nuclear verdicts. And when they win, you get a return. That is disgusting and criminal, and it should not be allowed.
No.
You know, and I mean, there is a side I get, you know, the safety advocates were involved in this one because at the end of the article, it says something about we hope this sets a precedent for all trailer manufacturers to improve safety. I get that. You want to improve safety of, you know, the underguards of trailers, but that's the federal government. That's the FMCSA.
What's gotten so bad with the rear safety guards, you can't even get one repaired now because nobody wants to be liable that you changed the structural integrity of it of any manner, shape, or form. And then if they built them too strong, they said they don't give away that it killed the people on the bumper, so it's supposed to fold at a certain point. So you can't win on that deal.
So you know what we're going to end up with? We'll end up with a giant airbag back there, and imagine what that's going to cost and what it's going to cost to replace that giant airbag every time somebody runs into it and it goes off. And aren't we also now fighting about side guards?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it caused them whiplash when the airbag went off and launched them backwards.
Yeah. You know, I have a story. I have stories about everything. When I was growing up, my father was a driver at Spectre. And they had a big terminal in Richfield, Ohio. And the terminal was just in a lousy location. And they probably should have put a traffic light here, but chose not to for years and years. When you pulled out of that terminal to get to the interstate, it was on a 4-lane divided. So you had to cross 2 lanes through the median and then make the left turn onto the other 2 lanes. And these are mostly doubles. There's no room. I mean, you can't pull out into the middle and stop. You have to have cleared both ways, and there's no traffic light. So, and the speed limit on this 4-lane was, if I remember right, probably 50 or 55, I'm sure. I can remember a driver pulled out at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. As he's pulling out and making his left turn, he feels something hit the trailer. And it was a car with 6 teenagers in it. Remember when we had bench seats in the front? 3 teenagers in the front, 3 teenagers in the back, traveling at, they estimated, about 90 miles an hour with their headlights off. And they were all under the influence. And this was unbelievable, but the top of the car peeled off and was embedded in the side of the trailer, and there were several heads in there. It decapitated him. Yeah, it was a horrendous accident. But there is nothing you can do about the design of a truck or a trailer that could have ever influenced that at all. Wouldn't have changed a thing. What are you going to do when somebody's driving 90 miles an hour with their headlights off?
Well, that's it, Kevin. They need to move all the docks down to 1 foot from the ground and build archways into the wheel wells and bring the trailers all the way down to the ground so that we don't have docks that height anymore.
Yeah. We live in a dangerous world.
What are we going to do with all the trucks that are hung up on railroad tracks then?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the railroad. They got to fix that. We're going to put that on the railroad. They got to fix their crossings.
Maybe all of our clothes should become bubble wrap. So if we fall, we don't hurt ourselves.
I'm more for removing all of the safety features and let nature play its course.
All the warning labels.
They're trying to defeat Darwinism.
Yeah, they are. It's not going to work.
Nope. So, a little dark humor and what the decapitation thing. I sent this meme to you once, Kevin, years ago, and it was probably, I don't know, when something was going on around the country with the racism stuff, and it's a picture of a human skull, several human skulls, you know, black person, white person, Asian, all that, and they're all identical.
Right.
You know, we're all humans. There is no difference.
Yeah.
Then in the bottom, it's a full skeleton. This is the skull of a person that was not decapitated.
You know what, though? We're joking about this. I think Joel would echo in on the same thing, because both of us, I know, have all the latest safety stuff. The stuff is great, and it does a great job. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mitigate the fact that you still have to drive these things, and there's personal responsibilities for what we're doing in them. The fact that they're safer than an old vehicle that used to run the steering column through you like a spear if you got into a crash, you know, it's probably good that we've moved away from some of that stuff. But know that at the end of the day, we still got to be responsible for our actions.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's really, that's the core of all of this. You know, they just have completely ignored personal responsibility across the board. We try as hard as we can to eliminate competition. We don't want people being competitive because that might make them better. We really, and put on the, you know, stainless steel helmets. The ruling class wants us dumb and divided. That's really, that's the only conclusion I can come to all of these things I see happening.
You forgot one, Kevin.
Go ahead.
They want us sick.
Oh, you're
sick,
right.
Dumb,
That's a
and
big
divided.
one. You're right. Sick, dumb, and divided. I can't come to any other conclusion.
I mean, we're on this with what used to be referred to as the Manson bumper, right? Back in the day, and
Mansfield. Yeah. Yep.
Mansfield. I'm sorry. Mansfield bumper. Yep. And is it a good idea that we have a bumper back there? Well, yeah, that's probably a good idea, right? You know, but at a certain point, you know, you run into it at over 45 mile an hour drunk and probably don't have the brakes on. It's probably going to break off, and it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And the other thing, even if the safety stuff was passed today, or even a couple of years ago. This incident, the trailer was 20 years old, or would be today now. Didn't happen. Just because you pass a new safety standard, we're not going to retrofit old stuff. So it's still going to be on the road for many, many years.
Well, and that was kind of the bigger point in the Freightliner case. Well,
so
okay, there was technology
when you
available.
get your license.
Go ahead, Joel.
When you get your license, there's nothing that says we have guaranteed safety on the road, is there? There's a risk. There's an assumed risk when you drive a vehicle, isn't there? I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
I didn't sign a thing, or the government didn't hand me a thing said we absolutely guarantee that if you're in an accident that everything will be fine, or whoever you wrecked into, they're going to pay $1 million. I mean, that's just craziness.
You know, one of the
I don't know.
That
I still go back to I fell over on my motorcycle a couple of weeks, and they didn't tell me that was possible.
I go back to a statement I heard from somebody that really had nothing to do whatsoever with safety, but it addressed kind of what you were just talking about, Joel. It was from Anthony Robbins, and he was talking about faith. And he said, you know, I have people tell me all the time that they don't understand faith, you know, religious faith. And it's an issue. We were just talking about religion earlier. And he said, look, he said, I promise you, every one of you have faith. People are like, no, you don't understand. I don't. I think I'm agnostic. Or they kept applying it to religion. And he said, no, you absolutely have faith. He said, if you didn't have faith, you would never get in a vehicle and drive. He said, every single car that comes past you going the other direction, you have some level of faith that they're not going to come over and hit you head on. Or if you thought they were, you would never drive. So you have faith in humanity, at least, that for the most part, they're not going to do that. And that's a good point. Think about how dangerous driving a vehicle is.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's no doubt.
No, and sad situation here. I can't give a lot of detail, but I got a friend of mine right now going through kind of what these last couple stories have been about. Several months ago, driving down a 2-lane road, 11 or 11:30 at night, hits a car head on, no headlights on the car. 20-some-year-old kid. He believes it was a suicide attempt, but he was told by his lawyer, do not even say that, because if that was proven, the kid's insurance company could deny the claim because it's no longer an accident. So he's fighting. I mean, he got his truck. The truck was told the kid had his arm broken, so it wasn't, you know, a fatal accident or anything like that, but wrecked both vehicles, obviously, and he hasn't driven since. He's just gun shy of getting back in his truck. Because, you know, he's driving down the road, dark out at night, and it actually was 2 lanes he came across. It was one of them sections of road where there's a passing lane. So he's in the right lane. There's a left passing lane on his side of the road, 1 lane going the other way. And yeah, it came straight across 2 lanes and hit him head on, and never seen it coming until like 2 seconds before it happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. All right. Hey, Matt, I'm going to cut you loose. Good stuff.
I had that happen.
You probably had more, but it's one of those days. I had one more thing I wanted to talk about, and then I want to get to a couple more calls real quick. Joel, this goes back to what you just said about them keeping us sick. So I'm looking at a picture of a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and it's got a bun, a chicken patty, and I can see a couple pickles on there. So I want you to guess. If we're going to make a chicken sandwich, we're going to throw a couple pickles and a chicken breast on a bun. How many ingredients do you think should be in there? Just a rough guess.
Probably about 150 anyway.
How can you possibly end up with 55 ingredients?
Wow.
So, and if we look at the chicken, here's the I'm not going to read them all because it's 55 ingredients. I'm just going to point out some of the worst of them. in the chicken itself. Why doesn't it just have chicken? We're not talking about the coating. I'll get to the coating next. This is just the chicken breast. Has 6 ingredients.
Wow.
Monosodium glutamate, MSG. It's a neurotoxin. We should not be putting this in our food. It should be outlawed. Why is there sugar in the chicken breast? There is. In the chicken,
that's a good question.
In the chicken coating, we have wheat flour. That's the first ingredient. Sugar is the second ingredient. Why do we have sugar in a savory sandwich? Then we have more MSG.
It's part of the.
Yeah. We have peanut oil. We have something called dimethylpolysiloxane. No idea what that might be. There's 16 ingredients.
Peanut oil is what it was fried in.
Yeah, there's 16 ingredients in the chicken coating. Now we go on to the bun. We have wheat flour, sugar, soybean oil, wheat gluten, cultured wheat flour.
All the good stuff.
Right. So we started with wheat flour, but that's not enough gluten. So let's add some wheat gluten to the wheat flour, and then let's add some cultured wheat flour, whatever the hell that is. We have more MSG. We have more seed oils. We've got soybean oil in here. Then we get to the bun oil. What does the bun oil mean? What the hell is that? We have the ingredients in the bun.
It's like what they butter it with.
There's another,
the bun.
Yeah, there's another heading called the bun oil. It has soybean oil, palm kernel oil, soy lecithin, natural flavor, which could be, again, MSG, because they're allowed to list that as just natural flavor if they want.
Natural flavor.
And in the pickle,
that's basically what they smear on the bun.
You got a piece of chicken, but it doesn't have enough natural flavor, so you can scoop up some chicken shit and rub it on it. I mean, what are you doing? Come on.
There are
oh shit.
There are 10 ingredients just in the pickles. Why do we have to put food coloring in pickles? They're green. But we have to add more yellow and more blue to make them more green, I guess.
You said that right. So, Kevin, I knew a little bit about that because I used to work in the prepared food industry, that made like the frozen meals and all that, and mixed up the spices and different stuff.
You worked at McDonald's with Kamala?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wondered.
I worked at a chicken plant in New Holland, Pennsylvania. Okay. No. And I didn't work at McDonald's.
Got it.
Okay.
Kamala
You said prepared food.
Right behind it at Rack's Roast Beef, but not at McDonald's.
I remember Rack's.
Yep.
All right. Let's get to some phone calls. Let's go to Arizona. Alan, join the chaos.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
How are you guys today?
Good.
You guys good?
I am. How about you?
We're doing all right. Actually, it was supposed to be both my husband and I, but we're in the middle of delivering right now, so sorry, he's busy. We have a proposition to throw out to the tribe.
Okay.
We've had a 2014 Cascadia or Freightliner Cascadia DD13 264 gears standard shift that we've been trying to sell for about 2 months.
Okay.
And we are not having any bites.
Well, let's see if we can change that.
It's got 1.49 million miles on it.
Okay.
Well, we kind of had an idea about what, because I like I said, we haven't gotten a single bite. We've had for sale signs everywhere. Been on Facebook. It's in Truck Tabor, and we just keep lowering the price and lowering the price. It's down to 10,000 over the last 2 weeks. and we still haven't gotten any kind of bite on it. And I thought, if we're going to have to really take a discounted amount for this truck, I would rather that it goes to somebody in the tribe who might be in like a lease purchase, who might be really struggling right now, where they could, maybe offer us whatever money they've got saved and be able to start fresh and do something better.
Okay. I like that.
And I kind of do too, because it's like, I'm listening to Joel a couple weeks ago talk about the trucks his brother had for sale. They've not been able to sell, and those are really good Volvo 6x2s and, all those lift axles and all that stuff. Our truck is really good. It's all of the repairs that were done. We spent almost $60,000 last year trying to keep that truck alive.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it was a record. We actually Pittsburgh Power put on a one box for us a year ago this month. And then in February, we bought a 2019 Cascadia that we're in now. Yeah, that we met Henry in Carnesville, Georgia, just by chance. And we talked to him for a little bit about the truck, but regardless, we really need to sell this truck. It's becoming a financial burden. It's still in the Landstar system. So it just had a fresh 120 done on it. And it's a good truck. It's a really, really, really good truck.
So how do we want to do this?
I don't know. That's why we're calling you. What do you think we should do? I mean, should we just throw it out there? Should we get people to call? I mean, we're willing to talk to anybody about this. But I think another part of this that I would like to see happen is that I would like to see whoever gets this truck to follow your system of accounting. That has been our saving grace. Last year, 2023 can go to hell. It was the worst year of our life. And it was the worst financial year for our business as well.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
But if it hadn't been for your numbers, but if it hadn't been for your system, we would have never made it. Not a chance. We would have drowned it. So I really want part of the deal to be, if you're going to get this truck, I want you to follow Kevin's system. And we would be more than happy to help, on site, show people how to do the numbers. We have all kinds of background and experience with it. That would be another stipulation that I would like to put in there.
I'm going to sweeten the pot. Here's what I'm going to do. Whoever ends up with this truck, however we figure this out, whatever happens, we'll figure out how to make sure somebody good gets this truck, because this is a great starter truck, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons. Yes. Here's what I'm going to do. Whoever ends up with this truck, I am going to give them a year of profit gauges and a year of coaching.
Woo! Sweet!
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
I will do that.
It means a lot to us.
Yeah. Well, it means a lot to me that you've used my products and services, and it helped you, and you want to pay it forward. And so I want to do that for whoever gets this truck.
Okay. Now, I don't have a number in my head right now as far as, how much are we going to take? I want to be able to talk to whoever is out there, see what they have saved up, see where they're headed with it, what if they've got a business model, because this truck was an awesome business model. We called UPS for 3.5 years for that truck, and it was amazing. It has a DD13 in it, so it's not the big DD15.
I
I'm
like
telling
the
you
13 a lot.
Yeah.
We run 2 overheads a year on that truck.
Yeah. Not to mention, I have a laundry list of brand new parts we put on last year. I mean, we lost the hood on it. The hood brackets broke and it fell on top of our air conditioning. So we had to replace the air conditioning, and we had to replace the hood, the hinges, and the bracket.
Yeah.
So all new paint, all new everything. It was all put back together really well.
This is a great starter truck, and I'm going to tell people, if this doesn't move in a reasonable amount of time with the tribe, the person I'm working with that's looking for a truck to pull their fifth wheel might just be all over this one. I would rather see this one go to the tribe. So we're going to put it out there first.
Yeah, I would too.
We'll do everything we can to encourage somebody. And like I said, I'll give them as much help as I can possibly give them to make sure they succeed with this truck.
Thank you, Kevin. That means everything. Our phone. Yeah. So we'll leave our phone numbers to tell, whoever you feel is a good fit, you go ahead and get a hold of us, or have them get a hold of us, and we'll start working together.
Excellent.
So,
all right. So
now also too, I wonder, do you still have room in your coaching program?
I do.
For somebody else too?
Yep, I do.
Okay, good. I'm going to be signing up.
Fantastic. Here's what, it was a very pleasant surprise that's happened with the coaching program. I priced this way lower than everybody tells me I should price this. And profitability, we can make a profit at it, but I've got to manage my numbers. And I thought, boy, can I get enough people in? Because we do a deep dive with people on this. I spend as much time with somebody as I need to till we solve a problem. And that may be over a couple weeks or a couple months. But my fear was, can I get enough people in the program to make it profitable? Yet in the beginning, I thought it was going to be really tight. The interesting thing about this is if I look at the statistics, and I am totally blown away by this, of all the people in the coaching program, and it's ongoing. People join, they drop out, they join again. You can come and go anytime you want. We don't lock you into anything. You pay 1 month at a time. It's all you're committed to. What I'm shocked about is the statistics are running about only 20% of the people who are paying to be in the group are asking me to help them. The other 80% are just there listening.
Really?
And I reached out to people and I said, well, you've been in the coaching program for months and I haven't heard from you. And they said, oh, you probably won't. We just like listening. So what that does is it allows me
really
to,
cool.
I know it is, because the numbers are looking much better now. It's not quite so risky for me because I can get more people in, because a lot of people are just sitting back and listening.
Good. Well, then also there's opportunity too. When new people come in, that may be somebody who is in there already has ideas as well.
Exactly.
Or bring into the new people.
Yep.
So that's really where I'm at on this.
No, earbuds are dying. Put him on speaker. Hang on, Kevin.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, our earbuds went dead all at the same time.
Damn electronics.
But anyway, though, I don't know what the next step is as far as this truck goes. Should we talk to Morgan and leave our information, or what would you like us to do?
If you want to put it out on the air, we can. That's totally up to you.
Okay.
I can leave you, and then I'll have Morgan get it. We can post it up on the tribe site. We could put a post out on X. So yeah, if you want to put your number out there right now, we can do that.
Awesome. Okay, it is Alan and Gretchen, and our phone number is area code 817-933-4507, and that number is on 24/7, 365.
And if you're listening on the app and you missed that, you can just go back and grab it. But here it is one more time, because people right now are reaching for pens. 817 933 4507. I think this should be fun, and I think we can get somebody a great start in the business with this truck.
And then, Kevin, I remember meeting Gretchen at Carnesville and Alan, and boy, be prepared to meet some high energy people.
Thank you, Henry. I appreciate that.
Excellent.
All right. Well, guys, come on. Anyway, can I go back to Morgan so that I can figure out what we have to do about this coaching program too?
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get signed up.
Okay. You all set?
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. All right,
Yep.
I'm gonna put you back in the queue, and Morgan will.
Kevin, I remember that well.
Do you?
I had just gotten up and I bumped into them, and boy, I was awake shortly after that.
Yeah, I'll bet. Like a jolt of caffeine, huh?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yep. In a good way.
Yeah. Let's go to Alabama. Ilya, welcome.
Good morning, Kevin. How's it going?
Good.
Or afternoon.
Yeah, well, it's still morning for me. I guess we're looking at an oil sample.
Yeah. Yes, please.
All right. Let's see. We've got what year is this? It's a Volvo engine. What year?
2020.
Okay, 636,000 miles or so on the engine, 54,000 on this oil. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. It looks to me like you're using a base additive. Is that correct? Are you adding something in for base?
No, I'm not.
Did you add a bunch of oil between the last sample and this one?
Just a little bit, because some like a bunch dripped out when I was switching the OPS filter.
Oh God! Oh no, never mind. I was reading the order backwards. Sometimes these samples put the samples in one order. I was reading it backwards. I thought your base went up, so I was wondering if you put something in.
Yeah, it went down a little bit.
It went down. Yeah. Okay. I know they're flagging that base at a level 4. I am just not all that concerned with base these days. You've still got 2.15 in there, meaning we still have base. These engines don't need as much base as they used to. If we get low enough, all we have to do is add some. So easy to do these days. So to me, this looks like a really, really clean sample. I'm going to assume you're using catalyst.
Yep.
That's the high iron. The rest of your wear metals are really low. There's nothing to worry about there. Silicon, oh no, I'm sorry. I almost looked at the wrong one. Silicon's fine. It's always been under 10. The boron you can totally ignore. That's nothing but an additive. So that flag is meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
And the base, I'm just not worried about. Knowing what I know about this, I would score this oil sample at a 0, not a 3.
Okay.
There's nothing in this oil sample I would be concerned about at all.
Okay. Yeah, really the only issue I even have with this truck is that I think I have to replace that DEF doser valve. I guess like the seal on it or something's messed up, so some air's getting in there. And it's like getting crystallized, and I have to clean it out every couple of weeks, and I think I just have to change that. So I don't know if that's like doing anything with the emissions or whatever, but other than that, I think everything's running well.
Seems like it. Certainly looks like it in the oil sample. I don't see any issues at all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so that does it for our calls. We didn't have a lot of calls today, probably because we were just all over the board. Nobody knows what to think about what we're saying, but we'll hang out another minute or two while we wrap up with some of our thoughts. I'll see if I had anything else on my list. I don't, but if you want to join us, 855-950-3835 or hit that call now button. Either one of you guys have anything else you want to talk about today?
Not other than, to me, my closing thought would be safe and don't run into things while you're being profitable.
That's a good idea.
And healthy.
That's good
There
advice.
you go.
Good advice. Joel, words of wisdom?
Oh, not a whole lot. I've been so friggin' busy with all the stuff I've got going on. I haven't had a lot of spare time just to sit and think about things. But
hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're busy. You got a lot of irons in the fire, but I've also seen you put some time into some memes lately.
Well, I'm telling you, the trolls are back with a vengeance. So I had to throw that stuff back out there for whatever reason. reason. I don't know why I'm getting so beat up on social media all of a sudden, but I'm the dumbest son of a bitch that ever lived. I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground, and I was like, oh, jeez, oh Pete.
Oh, wait a minute.
I actually having some fun with it.
I gotta go find a post. How am I gonna find this? I responded to it. So can I find it in replies? I got to read this one. So give me a second here. Oh, come on. Where is it? Oh, by the way, just to kill a little time while I'm looking at this, if you follow me on X, have you seen that woman that I post that does the bagpipes?
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see her rendition of Freebird? That was incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm following her now, and I am blown away at how good she is on the bagpipes. I still can't find. Where's that post? Come on. Got into arguments about the fair tax yesterday. That was a waste of my time. I don't know why I do that. I made one comment thinking, okay, you can't really reply to that comment. I don't know what I'm thinking. People will reply to anything, no matter what you say. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And this was aimed at Jamie Hagan, I think. And here's what the guy wrote. He said, I tried 66 miles an hour today on the trip into the city with the 2020 freighter shaker, whatever that is, with a DD13, 76,000 pounds, I guess. Not even close to 8 miles per gallon at, and then he tags Jamie after reading your article. And my response to that was, that's like doing one push-up today and saying, I didn't lose any weight or get bigger biceps.
You just gotta love it.
I say there might be a problem there. Top of that.
What's that?
So you there?
I'm still here. I think Henry, are
you there?
Yeah,
no. So
oh, go ahead. Hello? Is anybody hearing me? Maybe I'm the one that.
I am here.
Okay.
I am still here.
I can hear you.
Maybe we lost.
We're all here.
Okay.
We're all here.
So
go ahead.
I got the one post where this guy's just ripping me to shreds, and I wasn't even involved. Somebody tagged me in it, and he's saying, yeah, well, it's just a bunch of egotistical bullshit with that fuel mileage, and until he starts posting his revenue and profit numbers, it's all bullshit. What you want my credit card numbers, my social security number, my bank routing numbers? I mean, what the hell? I do not talk about business, period. I just don't.
Right.
And somehow it's not relevant unless you. I don't understand that. Why isn't it relevant? In fact, it keeps it simpler, because there's not a lot of other bullshit you're dealing with. You're just looking at specific fuel mileage, and then plug your numbers that are relevant to your operation into it.
Right.
Because my operation's going to be different than his. If he makes $1 million a mile, good for him. I'm glad he's doing it. You know what? Maybe I'm making 50 cents a mile and he's making $1 million. That's fine. Just take that fuel economy data and plug it in. That's why I do that. So there's no other bullshit about duty cycles and rate per mile, and there's all kinds of that stuff out there if you wanna dig into that. I mean, Kevin, that's what you do. You do all the business center. Go fight with Kevin about that part of it.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out fuel. Oh, and everything is feather light. Everything I touch is feather light, including the 79,000 pounds Travis ran from Oklahoma City to York, Pennsylvania at 12.9 miles a gallon. It's feather light. Right.
And all of your fuel mileage numbers are done from Denver to Kansas City. No place else.
With a tailwind.
Right. Downhill with the tailwind. And
so the other Yeah, the other thing I think we need to get into, we talked about the gearing thing is also when we get a chance to do all this type of stuff is to talk about the difference between fuel gauges and telematics and really drill down on why they're not always going to agree. I found one example going back through my data where I'm going to have the guys start putting timestamps on all of the fuel receipts, something I didn't do in the past, so I know what part of the day they actually filled up on, because in my telematics I can actually drill down on a timeline. So Trav had run, I don't know, 612 miles before he filled up. So when you look at it on telematics, the numbers were really skewed on the day versus the fill-ups on fuel gauges. So there's never that direct comparison because, one is by the second and the fuel gauges is by an event trigger.
Right.
And it's not that one is any more accurate than the other. They're
Just
measuring
different.
two different things.
Right. Right.
And so you can't say, well, the telematics isn't accurate and this is better. They both have their place and they're both accurate, even though that data may look different. You've got to understand why it's different. And there's always a reason why it's different. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. They don't understand that, fuel gauges has an event trigger within a timeline, where telematics is typically it's pinging back every 30 seconds, every minute, whatever it is. And so once you do a fill up and the telematics at the exact same time, start and end, and once you know that the telematics is accurate, the way that I like to use it is just for the guys that want to bitch about I don't haul any weight. So when I know Trav pulls a heavy load or Connor's pulling a heavy load, I can isolate that 100% of the miles to see what the truck done. You can't do that with fuel gauges, right? So this is where telematics becomes very, very useful. And post that stuff and all the grief I get from that shit. It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well,
I don't understand.
Well, maybe I can help you understand. Here's the level of ignorance we are dealing with. And I don't know what else to say. This is just total ignorance from somebody who's in the industry and should know better. This is not that complicated. But here's the level.
That's my thought. It's just not that hard.
It's not. What you just described is not that difficult. This is third grade math. We could teach this to a third grader because they understand the math, and that's all this is. But listen to this comment I saw, and I'm not going to go look for this one. I'm just going to paraphrase it. Somebody, and it may have been on one of your posts, I'm not sure. He made the statement, anything over 7 miles per gallon on a working truck is bullshit. I don't believe it. Well, first off,
But no.
Was that on yours?
Come on.
Was that comment on yours? I think it might have been. First off, what do you mean working truck? What the hell do you think we're measuring here? Do you think we're just driving trucks around for the fun of it and seeing what kind of fuel mileage they get? I don't even understand that comment. I've never posted fuel mileage. I know neither one of you have either on a non-working truck. What the hell is he talking about?
Now, everywhere that I go, I get a special deal where I only have to haul styrofoam and feathers, and only on days where the weather is optimal. That's how that works. I mean, that's all I haul.
Let me take this to the ridiculous, though. That's still a working truck. The whole phrase just caught me totally off guard. Obviously, we all have different operations. We talk about the different operations all the time. You post all the variables for everybody to see, but to say on a working truck, where does that statement even come from? Nobody I know is other than maybe out on some test track somewhere. But I just got a call out of the blue the other day from Mike Roth from NACFE. They do a lot of that. It's all working trucks. So that statement just kind of took me off guard. But then to believe
it's just meant to disparage, obviously.
Right. In today's world, you don't believe we could get more than 7 miles to the gallon? What kind of ignorance is this?
That's the most.
Come on.
Just asinine. Yeah.
I'm still trying to. But where I'm still hung up is on Joel's earlier statement about that where all this gearing's getting complicated. I'm still hung up back there.
I know. I know. But not only are you this ignorant, you're willing to post it in front of the world.
And the sad part of it is they get 50 people to go, yeah, right on.
You know,
you showed him.
Yeah, you really took it to him. Jesus, truth to power, brother. Jesus Christ.
At some point.
Way to put him in. I'm glad somebody put you in your place, Joel.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I just it makes me crazy that you get, and at some point I don't want to use the word ignorant anymore. I use the word ignorant to try to be nice. Anybody can be ignorant. In fact, we're all ignorant. I'm ignorant of a million things.
Sure.
I try not to be ignorant about things that really matter in my life, my career, my business, my job, my money, my health. I try not to be ignorant in those places. And in some cases, I still am. I know that. That just means there's information I haven't heard yet. Once I hear it, I won't be ignorant anymore. So I don't consider ignorant necessarily an insult. But at this point, I just want to call them stupid. Let's just be real. I mean, if you're in this industry and you're going to go online and make a comment about somebody who does this day in and day out and make a statement like that, you're just dumb. I'm sorry.
The one I hear all the time, often, aerodynamics don't matter. Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. None of it matters, right? You just hold the steering wheel and go.
Let's take that one, Joel, because that's where I was going to go next. That one is so easy to disprove. If nothing matters, what you are telling me is every truck on every run should get the exact same fuel.
It should be the same.
Right. How can we have a truck then if nothing
matters? No.
Why not?
Because what you hear right after that is what matters is the rate.
It's the rate. Yeah.
If
it's
nothing affects fuel
economy. So here's the thing on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing on this with the rate, Kevin. Okay, this is so you know that I'm working with a auto sports. I don't even know what we want to call it. Motorsports Association, and they want me to come in and manage their nitromethane supply from the depot to the pit.
Wow.
And they want me to take care of the whole shooting match.
Okay.
So if I end up doing this, the rate per mile is going to be pretty goddamn stellar. Do I all of a sudden turn into a super trucker and all my fuel economy numbers are valid then?
Right.
Oh,
no. Right.
No.
I mean, how does that work?
No, you've been adding nitromethane to your fuel.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, come on, Jesus Christ! The two they're not really connected the way that I'm using it as an example. If you want to control your biggest expense, here's what I personally do to get better fuel efficiency. Apply it to your operation. I don't care if you make $50 a mile. It's still one of your biggest expenses. You know what I mean? And so you naturally, if you're running a business, you're going to control expenses. Whether I'm hauling nitromethane or whether I'm running Schneider freight, I'm still going to control my expense. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. And in fact, the trucks that I'm going to use to haul the nitromethane are going to be 11-liter trucks.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's
and the rate per mile, I mean, I could definitely afford to go out and buy a brand new large car, but why would you?
Right. Why would you?
It makes no sense. I can't make that make sense in my mind when I can do it just fine with an 11-liter engine. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather take that money and put it in the bank than drive down the road thinking that everybody thinks that I'm cool and they're looking at that truck and they don't give a damn.
Hey, Joel,
they really don't.
Joel,
you might feel good about driving, but they really don't care.
I'm gonna make life for all three of us even worse. If they think we're idiots for what we do today, and they clearly do, they say it all the time. They'll say it right to you.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
If they think that's bad, why don't we just let them know? The three of us were doing this when fuel was 85 cents a gallon. Right?
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're the King Kongs of idiots.
Yeah, we're the retards. Am I allowed to say that anymore? We're the retards. Yeah.
I'm just still stuck on the nitromethane. I think that would probably jump the cetane up quite a bit.
Well, they've done some experimenting with nitromethane and diesel fuel, but I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't want somebody blowing that on their freaking truck.
Now,
Joel's running nitromethane.
Let's.
That's what it's going to be now.
I just found an article, and since today's been totally crazy anyway, let's do something interesting because all I saw was the headline. We're going to explore this article together. How's that sound?
All right.
So here's the headline.
Let's do it.
Here's the headline. North Carolina firm owner to pay $10 million in fines for emissions defeat devices. $10 million. Wow.
Did you say million or billion?
Million. 10 million.
Wow.
Okay.
Fines from the EPA. Let me look through this because this looks like it gets pretty interesting. I saw a sentence in here real quick, and I thought, well, this seems odd. I want to go back and read it, make sure I'm not taking this out of context. So they talk about they were selling product. It was Minimax Delete Tuner, originally manufactured by another company. Then they sold that to XRT Pro, another company, a Delete Tuner, stopped making these tuners. So it goes through this whole list of people. But then I read this. After that, Rudy's manufactured the imitation Delete tuners in-house using a laptop computer that Rudy's purchased for $850,000.
$850,000
for a laptop.
Okay.
The laptop contained the software to convert tuners into imitation company A tuners that did a delete. So somebody managed to get $850,000 for the laptop that allows them to do the deletes. Holy cow.
Funny.
And they claim that this
company what's even funnier?
Sold 250,000 of these tuners. I'm in the wrong business.
You know what's even funnier about this? Exactly. This whole thing. So we always hear about, get these tunes and our fuel mileage is so great. I have not seen a truck that has had like a 3 mile a gallon improvement legitimately because of a tune. I've never seen it. I've never seen that happen.
Oh no!
And I'm just,
right.
I get it. You can make the performance a little bit better, and I get it that if they understand the powertrain, and maybe you re-geared your truck, and you want your engine to maybe match the powertrain a little bit better, that I could understand. Might make a difference, but just in a generic sense, I don't understand that.
I had to tell people for years.
I don't get it. But
I had to tell people for years kind of what you just said. The tune is going to make the truck more drivable, more enjoyable. You'll like it, no doubt about it. And I've experienced several different tunes on several different engines. When they're done right, they will make the truck more drivable, more enjoyable. I said there is potential to pick up some fuel mileage. Potential. I said, but what I tend to see more often is people lose fuel mileage, and they like the power, and they like the throttle response, and they start using it more and more, even subconsciously. And I had people call me a lot of times say, I'm not sure what happened. I got a tune and my fuel mileage went down. And I said, I'm not surprised. I know exactly what you're doing. It wasn't the tune, not itself. It's how you're driving the tune. We could drive that tune and potentially pick up a little fuel mileage, or we can drive that tune and potentially lose fuel mileage.
So just to the point you're making, and you see this in the newer Volvos, we have three what they call operating modes that the driver can select, and there are three different tunes that you can select on the dash. So we have EE, E, and P. And the difference between EE and E is, I mean, even from a driver standpoint, there's not all that much difference. But between EE and P, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And just like you're saying, I'll drive around in EE 99% of the time. And, you know, you'll get 10 and a half miles a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
You get other guys that'll drive around in P and it gets 7. It's the same damn engine.
That's right.
You know, it is tuned to do different things, and it's driver selectable on the dash. You have 3 different tunes in there.
That's
but
awesome.
it amazes me that it's pretty cool stuff.
I like the
choice.
They
give you the choice to do that.
Right.
But it's interesting. The one thing I come across, here's what I'm going to leave you with. So the president of, I'm looking at these little compact tractors to move some nitromethane barrels around.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said we have 2 calls now, so you can't go anywhere.
Okay. The president of Yanmar Heavy Industries, I guess it's Japanese, Magachi Yamaako, I don't know, I can't. But anyway, he's got a little thing that says the founder's spirit. It says to conserve fuel is to serve mankind. And I think that's going to be my new statement.
Wow.
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, to conserve fuel is to serve mankind.
Holy cow.
So somebody had responded, I had posted that, and they said, yeah, to conserve anything is to serve mankind. And when you get thinking about that, that's exactly right. You know, don't be wasteful.
Well,
you know,
yeah, but this
waste
kind of a
not,
big
want
one.
not.
I think that the 3 of us in the Friday show should now be put up for sainthood, if that's the case.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy cow. Now listen to
so
this.
I
thought we already were
running around, you know.
All right.
I thought we already were.
Well, in our own minds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One more sentence from this article about the deletes, and that this kind of makes me crazy, and I bet most people probably just read over this and don't even think about it. But this to me is completely wrong. A lot of people may just disagree with me about it. Look, they broke the law. They need to be fined. I think the fines were really, really steep. Considering we see people do far, far worse things and never have to pay anything. But listen to this sentence. This makes me crazy. The $7 million that Rudy's and Rudolph will pay pursuant to the consent decree was based on their financial capability.
Wow.
That is so wrong. That is just so wrong. I am fine with you have a law. If you break the law, here are the penalties. Maybe you'll go to jail. Maybe you'll have to pay some money. Maybe you'll have to go to jail and pay some money. I'm fine for that. But I thought justice was blind. That means blind to our race, our religion, our color, our financial situation. I should not be punished harder because I have more money. Who the hell thinks that's okay?
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, but I think the way these are structured, and I think when Volkswagen got smacked around, I think what happened is they looked at the profit that they made off of that device. I don't think they're looking at their total, net worth of everything. I think they just look at what they made off a particular device and said, okay, you knowingly broke the law selling this, you made this much money, we're going to base the fine on how many of these illegal devices you sold. I think that's how that works.
You might be right.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you could be right.
Well, it sounds like the key would be if you're breaking the law doing something like this, to make sure you blow all the money really rapidly and not use Kevin's program to track your profits. And
well, let's... And Joe, you might be right.
Live it up.
But let me give you an example of where that absolutely happens and it doesn't work. In fact, it creates a bigger problem. In pharmaceuticals, I've made this point before. Doctors are allowed to prescribe any drug they want for any condition they want. And I'm okay with that. We should trust doctors. And if that's what they want to do, I think they should be allowed to do that. Pharmaceutical companies are not allowed to advertise drugs for anything other than what it's been through the full FDA approval process for. But they do it all the time.
Sure.
I can point out commercials that are illegal on TV because I'll look at the drug and say they did not do FDA trials on that drug for that condition. Well, then how can these commercials be on TV if they're illegal? The FDA actually convicts these companies too, and then they fine them. But they don't fine them as much as they profit by advertising these drugs. So the pharmaceutical companies just look at it as a cost of doing business.
Right. No, I get that. And I get exactly what you're saying. And that was part of the problem when we were having a lot of emission issues just before the rollout, everything was mandated, because what was happening is they'd go in and they would cheat it, and they knew that there was a set fine and it was peanuts, and they're like, okay, we'll pay the fine and cheat it. You know, we're still going to make out on it. And so I think they're looking to make, you know, trying to figure out a way to stop that. I don't know what the answer is to it. I'm not an attorney or an accountant, but I know that's a huge problem. They'll just look at it and say, okay, worst case scenario, we're getting fined this much. We're going to make this much. Let's do it anyway.
Right.
You know, that's what's happening. Yeah, for sure.
It reminds me of the case that happened along the Chesapeake where they had this rule about cutting down the trees on your property up to the bay. And the guy said, how much is the fine per tree? He wrote out a check and went home and cut down all the trees.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the type of stuff that happens. So.
Yep. All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's grab a couple final calls here. We're going to go to Ohio. AJ, what's on your mind today?
Hey, what up, gentlemen? I got a quick question for Joel. I got dropped back in this truck that I got. It's a 16 VNL 670, the D13 in it. It's actually a Plover truck I got. And I just got back in it, and it's reading 170 going down the highway. It's always reading 170. If I put on eco roll and go down the hill, it'll dip a little bit, but 170 degrees down the road. Shouldn't that be up around 200?
Yeah, you may have a bad sensor, possibly. Yeah, it should.
Yeah, I have double check.
Like 209. Now those do have that, unless it's been bypassed or changed. You should have one of those viscous clutches in it, and that fan really is accurate at controlling and keeping it within a set range, temperature range. So you want to make sure that fan clutch is working right. If it fails, I think they run all the time, and that may be why you're at 170 possibly, or you may have just a temperature sensor that's not right, or perhaps a thermostat or something that's not working right. But yeah, I think it's like 209, I think is where they run.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't double checked it. I haven't confirmed that that's what it is with a thermostat gun, but I'll do that.
Yep.
I will take a look at it.
Alrighty.
Now that's interesting. If that ran full time and it ran the condenser air going through the condenser all the time, would that freeze up the AC? Because I got that going on too.
Probably.
I got the AC freezing up, and I got to keep shutting it off and get it to melt and everything. All right. Well, everything's working out in that case then. Thank you very much. Appreciate taking call.
Awesome.
Have a good weekend.
Sir.
You're welcome.
You
All
too.
right. One more call, and then we're going to wrap this up today. Jerry, you get the final word.
Hello, gentlemen. I got to start by telling you all you're a whole bunch of losers. That's all you are. You're a bunch of losers. And here's why you're losers is that I got Amarillo, and I had a choice of listening to the show or having lunch with a very sweet, lovely young lady. I chose the very sweet young lady. You guys lost. You're a bunch of losers.
I would. So
that's why I'm late calling.
Choice.
I applaud your decision.
Yes.
So I'm sorry I'm late to the show, but I got a question for Henry about his electric APU, Henry.
All right.
I looked at the truck with this electric APU, and I thought I asked all the questions, and then I left it where I looked at it at, and I got thinking of more. When you're driving down the road, your engine is running, you're running off of the engine air conditioner compressor, and you're cooling the bunk also, correct?
You can be. Depends how
Okay,
you have
and
the
when you're
button
running
set.
down the road, but down in the middle of winter, then you can also heat the bunk off of the engine heat, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you shut it off then and you start your electric APU part of it, it's got its own electric compressor and condenser, but it uses the same evaporator and fan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about the heat, like in the sleeping in the winter? Does it strictly use the diesel-fired heater, and does it have its own duct system, or does it still use the same duct system and heater core that the truck engine uses?
Uses the same heater core and keeps the truck engine warm as well.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out how all that integrated. How in the heck do they do they have a valve in there that shuts you're not circulating Freon clear through the engine system there's
a valve in there somehow. Right? Don't ask me how that works, but I knew how the earlier ones worked where they were divorced from each other, where the back one worked on electric all the time, but then they changed it. And but on the old ones, I got really good at understanding them because they were experimental, and I had one of the first 3 that were in existence, and I got really good at taking those out until things got where they are now that they're relatively trouble-free.
Okay. So
the other big key on that is when you're running just the back one, dead center on your temperature control is about 72 degrees by a thermostat.
Okay.
So cranking it over to colder only makes it try to get to a temperature that it can't get to and runs your battery just down faster.
Okay. How many years do your batteries last?
My last one's lasted 550,000 miles.
Okay.
Wow.
And they're the deep
that's when I got out of it. That's what I don't know how long they would have lasted. That's when I got out of it. They were still fine.
Oh.
I was running North Stars in that one.
So your truck that you've got now, your 2022, is still running the original batteries that it came with?
Oh, yeah. This one's got 337 on it. And this one, I expect the batteries to go for a long time. And Joel also does this. We have the Merlin solar panels on it that really greatly improves the battery life.
So could you, in just a reasonably hot temperature, with your Merlin solar panels, could you take a 34-hour reset on the road?
Yes. Okay. Now, I don't want to do stupid stuff like turn the fan up to high and point the windshield into the sun and not pull the curtains and all that kind of stuff. And there is a trick I do. I've managed to pull a whole day sleeping in Oklahoma where it was in excess of 110. Of course, I pointed it out of the sun. I pulled all the insulated curtains up properly. But then, because I knew I was a little bit outside the range of what it's going to do for the most of it, and I just took my fleece blanket and hung it over the top bunk and shut off the vent to the top and only cooled right where I was sleeping.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you saying that. But you've got
done that same thing. I've done that same exact thing in 110 degree heat, and it'll go 14, 15 hours when you just isolate the sleeping compartment itself. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But as I understand it, Henry, your truck has total of 8 batteries, correct?
Correct.
Now, does the air conditioning, battery air conditioning, does it actually suck off of all 8 batteries, or strictly isolated to the 4 on the sleeper?
So, yes, in both cases. So it runs off of all 8 till it gets down to a certain voltage. Then it goes a little bit lower on the 4 that just run it, but it divorces itself from the engine starting battery, so there's enough battery to restart the engine.
Okay. Now then, if you let those go so long, is there a some sort of a trigger mechanism in there that would start your truck for a certain period of time and charge the batteries?
You can do that if you have optimized idle, which I don't. And I didn't really, most of the time I did not use optimized idle, because what I found when you had the key turned on to have optimized idle on, you fired up all the computers and everything in the dash, which ran your batteries down faster. And the optimized idle, well, I mean, that's just how it's going to be. To control it, they got to have the computers on to start the engine, right? So in a fleet situation where a driver's not willing to manage his back, the one time that I did set it, because I didn't feel like the air conditioning going off, and it was that really hot time in Oklahoma, and quite literally, I got up, I had about an hour more on my 10-hour break at that time, and this was in a truck that didn't have the solar panels or anything, or I would have been fine. But as I was getting dressed, it started up the truck, and I just shut it off because I was going in to eat anyway. So the optimized idle is a nice thing to have there, but I seldom used it because when you have the key on to run all that, you're drawing your batteries down faster because it's turned on the computers.
Okay, but in the event that they got so low, it would simply shut the air conditioner off.
Yeah.
You didn't have the optimized idle on, it'll, yeah.
What it'll do is, like, if you have dome lights on, it starts shutting off one light at a time, and little by little, it doesn't shut everything off at the same time. And then, lastly, it just shuts the air conditioning off.
Well, that's kind of like closing time at a bar. You know, they start turning a few lights out and a few lights out, and it's time to go.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
I'll be darned. Okay.
And you know if it did that, you know if it did that, which a few times when I overworked it, not in this truck that has the solar, but the previous one, where I was there for quite a while, and you wake up and you turn on the light switch above you and there's no light. Well, that's why, because I went too far. But it won't let it deep cycle the batteries down, so that's a good thing.
Okay. Do you have the same batteries in all 8 positions, or are the truck ones
same,
like a regular
same battery?
Okay. The deep cycle.
No, they're just regular AGMs.
Oh, okay. I thought
North Stars is what they generally run.
Oh, okay.
And
AGM, well, I think the ones I was looking at had deep cycles in all 8 positions, I thought they said.
AGM would be
no, it's AGM.
It'd still be considered a deep cycle battery. It's not lead acid. It is designed to be charged and recharged more often than a lead acid starter battery would be.
Right, but it's not like a deep cycle trolling battery.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm using the terminology wrong. I got you now. Yeah, the AGMs are more of a long life hotel load battery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I got that.
And they
so did you and Joel get your Merlin Soul put on at the same place?
Mine got put on at the PDI at the factory.
Oh, yours came. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure how that worked. I knew at one time Joel had a place that he had on his deal there. Joel, I don't remember what the place was, somewhere in Ohio that installed it.
Yeah, TTPS.
Yeah.
In
good place,
Ohio.
good place, good people.
Yep.
Okay. But they're not the manufacturer Merlin Soul. They just a reseller and installer.
Correct.
They're an authorized reseller and installer. Correct. Yep.
Okay, I got it. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember how that was. I remember.
The reason I'm familiar with that place in Ohio, my original ones, which got replaced, not because they were bad, but because they were prototype and they came out with a better design that fit the shape of the hood and everything, and they got replaced at that place in Ohio.
Okay. All right. Approximately, I mean, what's the solar panels approximate cost? I mean, we had 4,000 or 5,000 or more or less.
Oh, it depends what you get, but yeah, generally going to run you less than that. I think they have like a standard kit or package that they offer that's around like, if I remember right, it was $1,700. But this is why I hate giving out pricing, because
no, that's fine. I just want to
you just never call the guys down at TTPS and they'll get you a pricing. They're in Sydney, Ohio.
Yeah, great people there too, by the way. Really great people.
Jerry, I had to cut you off. We're going to wrap this up. One more comment. This is kind of crazy. You know that Kickstarter for the audiobook we were just talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody last night, I can't take credit for this. We're going to have to up our game because I said I wanted to make a difference. Somebody last night on that Kickstarter donated at the $10,000 tier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm not kicking up to that tier. I'm sorry.
Wow. Wow, that's a fan there. Somebody really likes the book or the author or something. That's a big one. So I got to hand it to Christine, his wife. She has been marketing this thing like a mad woman, and it's working. So good for them. I love this kind of stuff. So, and we had a great time with the narrator. We'll do that some more. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Joel, Henry, thanks as always. We'll see you guys again next week. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.